Yo, what up, what up? Yo! How we doing, folks? What's up, Ocula? My eyes are acting up again.
For somebody who cannot
up, Mitchell? Buenos días.
Hey, everybody.
The champ is here. Yo, 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 yo. Hope you guys are doing well. Welcome. Welcome, everybody. Happy Monday. What up, what up, what up, what up? For those of you guys who watched last night, you know you had a little bit of a late night discussing such things as virtue signaling. And my eyes are acting up a little bit. But, you know, hopefully I'll do enough self-care to have them be ready for Live and Learn tonight. Live and Learn tonight at 7 o'clock. I have it on good authority that friend of the show, Josiah, will be on. Crazy, hey? Pisco, watch you go hard on that Mormon caller a bit ago about the cancel culture hypocrisy. It was like watching a breech birth. You had to pull concessions out of him ass first. Well, that's certainly a way to put it. Yeah, no, I want to talk a little bit about what's going on. I feel like everyone's going crazy. Super crazy. Super, super crazy. And I am not here for it. I'm going to call it out. And some of the stuff that we're seeing online is reached a certain level. Give me just one quick second, folks. One quick second. Just making sure things are good and settled. All right, cool. First thing, yeah, I might do a little compilation at some point of some of the calls we had yesterday. Pretty good. I'm not going to do the kid not kin call. That was pure mental damage. It was absolutely deranged. But yeah, there was that one call with that Mormon guy where it felt like I was having to walk very deliberately and slowly through my point, and people just get lost in the but I did have breakfast. You have to be so clear sometimes. I'm not talking about this. I'm not talking about what you want to recommend. I'm only talking about whether or not you like it can be exhausting a little. And maybe it's not the best way, right? Maybe the best way is just to go with the flow. But I feel like that's disingenuous, you know, going with the flow to have a conversation for appearance's sake or to just like go along to get along and not actually listening to each other. But maybe it's the right way to do it. Maybe it's the right way. Okay. The first thing I want to do is let's listen to what the vice president has to say. The alleged vice president. Just kidding. He's the real vice president. I don't think is disqualified under Section 3. But yeah, let's listen to what he has to say first, and then I have to give you some thoughts on what's been going on.
J.D. Vance here, live from my office in the White House complex.
Oh, so now we're using the White House property. Now we're using the trappings of his office to do a show on his private network. Not to like patch into some other show, but to actually do the show. To be the host of like a private show.
And filling in for somebody who cannot be filled in for, but I'm going to try to do my best. My dear friend, the great Charlie Kirk. The last several days have been extremely hard for our country. They've been hard for me, hard for my family, hard for the countless people in this building who knew and loved Charlie Kirk. And of course, they've been hardest most of all for his darling wife, Erica, and their two beautiful children. The thing is, every single person in this building, we owe something to Charlie. He was a joyful warrior for our country. He loved America. He devoted himself tirelessly.
Do you remember when they made fun of Kamala Harris for saying joyful warrior? I don't doubt, by the way, that he was very happy when he did the things he did. So I'm just saying, I just note that they were like, oh my God, joyful warrior, joy, joy. And now all of a sudden, joy is a good word again.
To making our country a better place. He was a critical part of getting Donald Trump elected as president, getting me elected as vice president. And so much of our success over the last 7 months is due to his efforts, his staffing, his support, and his friendship. I don't think that I'm a...
This is, by the way, according to reporting, true that Kirk is like recommending people directly for posts. So his significance should not be understated. And I think that that's important to note.
Alone in saying that Charlie was the smartest political operative I ever met. Everyone knew him as this fearless debater, this guy who would take the conservative message into hostile places and inspire younger generations to have courage. One thing that's hit a lot of those young Americans over the last week was how Charlie was there for them when others were not. When they were afraid to speak their minds, when they were afraid of what a professor would say, when they were afraid that they would be shouted down.
Afraid of what a professor would say. It's so funny to hear J.D. Vance talking about this and about the need to be open to ideas, even offensive ideas, in the context of the current industrial cancel culture that's going on. And not just industrial cancel culture, industrial use of federal government to institute right think and to disincentivize wrong think. I just find that really funny. These appeals to Charlie Kirk, who did go on campus and did have debates and did engage the other side, which is all I think. I don't go so far as to say what Ezra Klein said, which is like he did politics the right way just because he does those things and just because he's peaceful. But I do think that it's virtuous to seek to have these kinds of conversations and seek to interface with the other side on some level, right? But it's funny for them to try to extol those values at the same time while their movement is clamping down both culturally and legally on political dissent and offensive ideas, even reprehensible ideas.
By their peers, Charlie was there, showing them that they could be courageous and that they could be bold. Charlie was a visionary. He was a luminary. He brought together people. He didn't just teach people how to speak. He didn't just teach people what to say. He didn't just teach people they could actually speak their mind on campus. He created a whole social network for an entire generation of young people. I know people who met their husband, who met their wife, who met the best man at their wedding at a TPUSA event. Because as you guys all know, it's not just about speaking our mind. It's about making friends along the way and creating that support network that won an election and that staffed the current federal government. I owe so much to Charlie. I've had friends reach out in just the last couple of days who sent me messages, screenshots that they exchanged with Charlie in the run-up to me getting selected by the president as his vice presidential running mate. And it's such an honor to have people show me that Charlie said, we want JD to be the VP nominee. And I just had a conversation with the president, and I think things are actually going well. I think he's actually going to choose JD Vance. Do you know what it means to me that such a good guy, such a good friend, such a lion?
Yeah, apparently Kirk was part of the group that was lobbying for JD Vance. So I don't also doubt that JD Vance feels some sense of gratitude, a big sense of gratitude for what Kirk did, Donald Trump Jr. for lobbying on his behalf.
And visionary of our movement was advocating for me, so I wanted to use the show today to advocate for Charlie, to talk about him, to talk about what kind of a guy he was, talk about what kind of a man he was, what kind of a husband and father he was, and to take people, most of them from inside the administration, but some of them from without, who knew Charlie best, and to talk about what he meant to them, what he meant to this administration, and what he meant to the conservative movement. Now, I was very honored a couple of days ago, on September the 11th, 2025, to fly out to Utah, where Charlie was shot and killed, to meet his wife, to meet his mom and his dad, his sister, all just incredible people who didn't deserve to have this happen to them. And I was also honored to be able to take Charlie's remains from Utah to Arizona. It was an amazing, amazing thing. It was heartbreaking, and it was sad, and it was terrible. But what an honor it was for me and my family to be welcomed in to the Kirk Inner Circle at their moment of...
Okay, cool, whatever. They're talking about it. Justin Maureen Comey sues the Department of Justice over her abrupt firing as a top prosecutor in SDNY 6 reinstatement. Interesting. So let's break down what we're seeing, I think, online and from MAGA and from conservative circles. On the one hand, there is an almost uniform embrace of cancel culture. Almost uniform. In terms of right-wingers who are like principally against cancel culture to some extent, they all are, relatively speaking, either iconoclasts within MAGA already or never Trumpers. Never Trump Republicans. People like Richard Hanania, people like that, who have abandoned Trump and who maybe are conservative or voted for Trump, but like already are not quote unquote MAGA. But everyone else, I would almost say to a man, has done a complete about face on the supposed principle, which was no matter how offensive words are just words. And that unless it's illegal speech, that people should be allowed to say what they want to say without fear of this kind of public efforts to deplatform, public efforts to fire, public efforts to force people to disassociate with others, to a person. And it has happened, when I say on an industrial scale meaning there is now an industry, there is efforts to centralize, efforts to make efficient, efforts to collectivize efforts, the means by which people are being fired, targeted, doxxed, etc. And you're seeing it everywhere. Massive lists they want to create of people who have mocked Charlie. Now, I want to be clear. I don't support celebrating the death of Charlie Kirk. I've condemned the assassination of Charlie Kirk. I need to say that because I just it feels like this is a moment where there might be some incentive for individuals to, in response to this kind of overreach by MAGA, to let's just go the whole way. I don't think that you should do that. I don't think it's a good idea. Not just because it might lead to you being fired from your job or some shit, and they try to dox you or whatever, but also because I think it's not right to do. So I just want to make that clear. But that said, it is absolutely reprehensible, the kinds of statements we're seeing from MAGA. A, the hypocrisy I just pointed to, the cancel culture hypocrisy. B, they're talking about using the government to throw people in jail for celebrating about the death of Charlie Kirk, or even saying something mean. And it's not just going to be the actual genuine celebrations that are reprehensible. There was this woman, this senator from California, Republican senator, I believe, yeah. Or is it a California state senator? I'm not sure. Anyway, Melissa Melendez. Is she let's see. Is she a congressional member? Let's see. State senator, it seems. State senator. Anyway, Melissa Melendez says, in response to, this is the statement. One sec. This is the statement that she calls laughing and dancing on the grave of Charlie Kirk. This statement, by the way, is what Melissa Melendez and what MAGA considers dancing on graves of Kirk. Quote, from the Stan Democrats, the heart of California. I learned today that the Stanislaus, I don't even know what this is, maybe that's like a region, Republican Party is holding a vigil this evening for Charlie Kirk and has extended an invitation to the Democratic County Party to attend as a gesture of unity. As chair of the Stan Dems, I respect the intention behind organizing an event to denounce political violence and to promote unity during such turbulent times. However, we respectfully decline participation. We cannot in good conscience attend an event that centers on Charlie Kirk, given his associations with fascist ideology. We do not wish to participate in honoring him. I want to be unequivocal in affirming that we believe that all forms of political violence are unacceptable, and that escalating political tensions only harms our communities and our democracy. I appreciate the spirit of seeking common ground against violence. I hope that there are future opportunities to collaborate on efforts that promote peace, safety, and dignity for all without elevating figures whose legacies are deeply at odds with those values. And what do MAGA Republicans call this? Laughing and dancing on your grave. That's what they call this. If you don't attend a vigil honoring Charlie Kirk, you are laughing and dancing on Charlie Kirk's grave. That's the standard now. They're going through like NFL teams and saying, these are the NFL teams that didn't honor Charlie Kirk. It is an industry of cancellation, and the standard isn't, did you celebrate? The standard is, were you significantly mournful enough? There is nothing you can do that will satisfy these people. There is nothing you can do that will make these people think that you're not complicit in murder. Like, they actually think, I tweeted this, they think that Democrats are complicit in murder. You hear it in their statements like, you killed the moderate. You killed the negotiator. Now you'll reap the whirlwind. You're not ready for what happens next. You decided as a group to murder Charlie Kirk. So if you're a Democrat or if you're on the left in any respect, and that's what they say the left. The left is the party of murder, they say. That's what they say. The left is the party of murder. That's Elon Musk quoting. They think that you're responsible for the death of this human being. So nothing you say is ever going to satisfy these people who want to throw you in prison and who think you're complicit in murder. So say what you have to say if you want to say it, like in terms of your good conscience. I think you should condemn any kind of political violence. I think it's horrible. I think it's cowardly what occurred. But don't think that you're actually going to get people to like, oh yeah, let's have a time for unity. That's not what they're looking for. They want to scapegoat all Democrats. They want to scapegoat all Democrats and say that they're responsible for murder. And even if you issue a statement that unequivocally condemns political violence and just says, no, I don't want to honor this person. I don't believe this person led a respectable life in that sense. I don't agree with the values this person stood up for. They will characterize that as some form of disrespect, some form of mocking of one's death. That is an absurd standard. It's a standard that could never be thought of to apply to the Democrats from the other perspective. Imagine that we said, okay, if you don't go to this vigil honoring these Minnesota Democratic legislatures or who were targeted, right? If you don't do that, then you're mocking them. No one would ever accept that at all. Nor should they. It is an absurd standard. And you can make a scathe, unless you're willing to, and I showed this the other day, to basically say that the MAGA movement was right about everything. And even then, they'll still think that you're a murderer. Unless you're willing to say that MAGA's right, Trump is the best, you should be pro-life, there are only two genders, we were wrong to be Democrats, and basically surrender. Only, failing that, there shall not be peace. Though that's necessary in order to move forward peacefully. And the right-wing MAGA influencers in bad faith are stoking the fears of their base, stoking the anger and resentment of their base. Again, almost to a man. Almost to a man. Thank you so much for the super chat. Trump doesn't think we're responsible and doesn't care about Charlie. He's using this as an excuse to increase militarization of civilian spaces. I don't disagree with this. I don't disagree with this. He was asked, like, the day after, how do you feel about Charlie Kirk, sir? Oh, I feel great. Anyway, look at those trucks over there. They're building the most beautiful ballroom. He's in fucking Yankee Stadium, very deep in mourning, right? Dun, dun, dun. Dun, 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 dun. Yeah, you look very fucking in mourning, dude. Meanwhile, on the other side of the world, that is on Twitter, if you're like, yes, we don't want to do the vigil, but we condemn it, like, How dare you? How dare you dance on his grave? Trump over here literally dancing to YMCA and having the time of his life and be like, oh yeah, everything's cool. Yeah, we'll just have the ballroom but it'll get all these trucks. And look, you see it from one of my reply people. Lee Nelson. The left is a terror organization because some psychos plant bombs. That's the standard now? I don't even know the context of this. Was this like wasn't this some Islamic terrorism? Was it? Or was it bombs, Fox News? Yo man, there's a place you can go. 2 men arrested after incendiary devices found under news media vehicle in Utah, authorities say. I don't know who planned this bomb. I don't know anything about it. I condemn the bomb. I don't know what to say. I condemn the bomb. And so they want to say is you're guilty. If you're a Democrat, you're guilty for, I guess, this bomb or whatever. I don't know shit about the bomb. By the way, we're still finding out the rationale behind the motive of this person. Apparently there was like this trans roommate or this allegedly, right? This transgender roommate, furry roommate or something. That's what is being alleged. It's alleged. But according to the allegations, he turned in the suspect. He went out to the police. So he's like a hero. You're a hopping voice chat. Yeah, I'll pull you in. Do, do, do. Do, 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 do. By the way, that's not me singing in support of Charlie Kirk's. I know that might seem like it, but that's literally just because it's in my head. All right, we got Josiah coming in. Yo, what up, brother? How we doing? Sir.
Okay. So I want to tell you a story real quick. And then I
you didn't say hi.
Say what?
You didn't say hi. I said, hey, what's up? And you're like, I want to tell you a story.
Yeah, I'm matter of fact. Listen, I've got some time. You're a lawyer. I don't want to be billed, all right?
Okay.
Okay, so I want to tell you a story. I want to ask you a question.
Yeah.
So last night, sometimes like when I get restless, I feel the urge to like clean the house, okay? I was like, you know what? I need to clean the shower. So I'm over here with like this giant fucking electric spinning mop, scrubbing the hell out of the shower tiles. And I need something to listen to because my wife is downstairs watching, I think, the Emmys, okay? So I have my earbuds in. And I was like, oh, shit, Pisco. My buddy Pisco, he is streaming, okay? This is going to be wildly entertaining. I know this is going to be very informative. So I put my earbuds in, and I'm scrubbing the hell out of this floor. And a caller jumps into your chat, and this is like when this starts. I guess he's already in the chat. And he's talking about Mormonism. Yeah. I'm like, this is interesting. So I'm just scrubbing away. And he's like, so I got to tell you this personal story about this time that my dad caught me masturbating.
Yeah.
And so I can't see the phone. The phone is on like the sink in the bathroom, and I'm just scrubbing away in the shower. And I drop. Two things happen. I drop the scrubber, and it hits the ground. And of course, I've got the AirPods in, so like it's kind of noise canceling. So I don't realize how loud it is. And I said, "Oh my God!" And then 30 seconds later, my wife runs into the bathroom. And again, the noise canceling thing, so I can barely hear shit. I'm trying to listen to what the fuck is going on. And I turn around because I finally see movement, and my wife is like panicked that I like fell and like killed myself in the shower. And so I have to explain. It's the funniest thing in the world. Like, it took me way off guard. And then to amuse ourselves, to calm her down, I grab the phone and I play back so we get to see your reaction in real time, the look on your face. And you like, as he's going on, and you drinking whatever fucking latte you have at the time to like avoid laughing or just smiling. That was the funniest shit that I have seen or heard in a while, and I really want to thank you for it.
No, I appreciate it. It's like
but Paulo nearly had a heart attack, bro. She had a heart attack.
It's just like everyone kind of treats, not everyone, a lot of callers treat the call-ins as like therapy. Like this other week, like someone's like, oh, I knew this girl, and we like talked about his ex-girlfriend for an hour and a half. Now, granted, in that case, I was kind of interested, so I pushed on it. But like, this guy is, I guess, making a point about Utah, and is like, well, I think I'm just speculating here, but I have no evidence for this. But in Utah, sometimes they're a little bit too dogmatic, and sometimes, my dad caught me masturbating, and it made me feel really guilty about it at one time. I was like, okay, I don't know why you're saying this to me right now.
They just want to unburden themselves to you.
Yeah.
And I mean, I guess I'll be honest with you. Like I was thinking about it, I'm like, what great masturbation stories do I have to share with Pisco's Hour? Like, man, if only my grandma caught me, at one point or something like that. I need to top that story, but I've got nothing.
And before we unpack all that, I want you to say.
And that's actually what I say when I masturbate. That's my catchphrase. Before I unpack all that. No, dude, I'll be honest with you. I was just, I fucking laughed my ass off. That was such a funny chain of events. And so first I wanted to thank you for that. I appreciate that.
I appreciate you. Did you follow me on TikTok yet? Do you have a TikTok?
I do, but man, like I don't even use it. So like that's where I got my start. And that was really all I used TikTok for, was to actually create videos. And I think my last TikTok video was 2.5 years ago, maybe 2 years ago.
Well, before you say anything,
fire it up. What?
Before you say anything, I want to hear about this. This is a call to action, everyone listening. Pisco Liddy on TikTok and Instagram. Brand new. We're doing stuff there.
Why are you on it? It's a federally banned app. What are you talking about?
No, not for me. It's for third party. It's for third parties, third-party service provider. All right, and listen, if Trump's not going to enforce the law, I might as well get my fucking.
You're not.
I wanted to say it, but I didn't want to say it.
Well, I mean, might as well. It's
Pisco Liddy on TikTok. It's called action.
I
Go
just
do it.
followed you.
Okay,
I
cool.
just followed you.
All right, cool. So finish your thought.
Oh shit, Ryan! I'm recommended Ryan Mullally on Twitter.
No.
And you've got 52 followers, and he's got 53
on Twitter or TikTok.
Or TikTok. Sorry. Yeah. Okay.
Keep going. Sorry.
All right. So you, I was not able to listen to the remainder of your stream, and I've not caught anything today. But have you and are you discussing this big cancel culture project of Kirk's, like they called it Charlie's Murderers? You know what I'm talking about?
I don't know that it had a formal name. Am I against the cancel culture shit? Yes.
No. Of course you are. No. I'm saying, have you covered it? Because I've got a question about it.
Oh, yeah. I mean, some aspects of it. So some aspects of it, some of it, yeah. So like, for example, they're basically going and not making any distinction between people who are like, hey, I don't think that Kirk was a good person, and people who are like dancing and doing like pretty disgraceful celebrations of his death. So like they're conflating everything, and they're going after teachers. They're going after anyone who says something basically that isn't in keeping with their dogma on how you should mourn, what you should mourn, and they don't give a shit. They don't give a shit if you make the most like well-crafted statement. It gets them no. Like they basically think that you're guilty of murder. So I mean, I've seen a lot of that, but you can.
Well, and that's so. Excuse me. So what I was trying to figure out was apparently the website was called Charlie's Murderers, and now they've renamed it like in the past 10 hours to the Charlie Kirk Data Foundation or whatever. Yeah. And I was trying to figure out why. And I've seen some like tweets go viral. Were they at risk of defamation over this?
Who? Oh, these people saying things about like if they're
no. The people compiling. Like putting the database and the doxing shit together.
I don't know why they'd be liable for defamation. Like if
would there be any sort of legal liability that would prompt them to go from charliesmurderers.com to Charlie Kirk database? Like, is there any sort of like legal liability or jeopardy or exposure that they have?
Oh, you're saying because they called them murderers at one point.
Right. It was charliesmurderers.com, and that was the website that you could like. It had a search function and everything, and they changed it to the Charlie Kirk Data Foundation. And I'm trying to determine, because there's been no like contemporaneous reporting on this, and I'm trying to figure out what the motivation was to go from such an incendiary name to something else. And a lot of people were speculating that there was like some sort of legal exposure or liability. So I'm coming to a lawyer to find out.
I mean, I guess it's like possible. I don't know that it would be, because so think about it, right? There needs to be a false statement of fact being made. And the question is, would someone looking at that objectively think that calling someone a murderer in that context was like an actual assertion of fact? Maybe it's possible. I think basically that would be a kind of weird one. I probably wouldn't be in favor of such a lawsuit, because it seems like what's being implied there is that they have some kind of moral culpability for his death. And saying things like, for example, "You're a murderer, Lyndon Johnson. You murder." Like, I think that there's the use of that term in that context is meant to imply some amount of like moral culpability, not literally that they're the ones who killed them. So that's just how I would interpret the statement when that's being made. But maybe there'd be some kind of case of tortious interference with business relations to the extent that you're like trying to go after people's employment. But even that typically implies some kind of like underlying maliciousness, some underlying deceit, or some underlying like illegal wrong, separate wrong, independent of the tortious interference. There could be. I'm not saying that I've like, but as I think defamation just doesn't seem right to me for whatever reason.
Gotcha. Yeah, I was just curious because I saw that and I'm like, well, that's a hell of an about face. You know, when you're just like going full scorched earth.
Yeah.
The only thing I could think which would deter them is that they felt that they were under legal jeopardy. But that's why I came to you. Okay. Everything else? How's everything else?
Nah, man, this is insane. Everything we're seeing is insane. Like, they're calling for authoritarian states. They're calling for basically clamping down, using the federal government to like withhold funds for any school that is insufficiently mourning, insufficiently going after their own teachers, that kind of thing. So it's the reaction from the right has been totally unhinged, totally unhinged. And I don't see anyone among the right wing saying things like, "Hey, we should tone down the rhetoric. Hey, we don't need to go all the way on this." Like, no one is, it feels like, is self-reflecting on whether they're appropriately calibrating their response. It seems like they're all trying to outflank each other in terms of crazy and be like, "Oh, you're not crazy enough. You're not saying fucked up shit enough. We should throw you in jail if you celebrate. We should basically deperson you if you are not mourning in the way we want." And even if people are unequivocally condemning the violence and the assassination, it's never enough. It's never enough. And they're going to still say that you're a murderer.
They just move the goalposts.
100%.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, yeah, it's been, you know, I've not been able to fully explore the cancel culture project to the extent that I would like, but it seems to be like the most aggressive, like cohesive, organized cancel culture project I've ever seen. I mean, I remember vaguely, I think there was like the Republican Accountability Project, and that was just about elected lawmakers that had nothing to do with, you know, private citizens or whatever. And it was basically like a list of, you know, like all the election denialism and unhinged shit that elected lawmakers. And to me, that's different. I think that when you're an elected figure, I mean, obviously you shouldn't be doxxed as an elected figure, because I don't think like your house, your home address is necessarily public knowledge. But like people putting up lists together of the unhinged shit that you've said as an elected figure, that's different than like going after, you know, conservative truck drivers or MAGA, you know, fucking, I don't know, you know, Walmart greeters or whatever, just like people with no power whatsoever. And yeah, so it seems to be a full court press, wildly indiscriminate. And it's, you know, we talked about this before, where obviously there's a shamelessness, and that's part of their superpower. It's one of the many advantages they have. But seeing the comments and some of the things I've looked at, like there is a zeal. Like a lot of them know what they're doing. You get some like, "Well, that's different. It's different when we do it." And a lot of others are like, "No, yeah, we've got the power.
Yeah,
and
we have the power. We're going to use. Yeah,
fuck you.
We never cared about it." No, they were open about that. Many of them, I think. Yeah, it's totally clear to me that they're, and it's a false starting assumption, which is that the left started cancel culture. Like we have the communist panic, the satanic panic, the you know, canceling during
McCarthyism. Jesus,
yeah,
McCarthyism.
You know, going after communists in academia during like the 30s, 40s, 50s, like throughout the entire era, canceling people because of, you know, cultural conservatism, that they like the books, right? Harry Potter, fucking violent video games, violent images, like. The
Dixie Chicks. I mean, they went from superstars to like, you know, persona non grata overnight because the lead singer criticized President Bush over his foreign policy, right? And it was just like a mass blackout on you know, country music radio stations. They went from like 10 to 0 overnight. They were effectively blacklisted. And so, you know, I'm fully sensitive to the idea that there have been numerous instances of what we would genuinely consider cancel culture by like rabid, you know, outliers in the leftist movements. They're trolling for things to punish people because they're anonymous and they feel powerless and they want to exert power over others. And yeah, it's cringe and dangerous. But like, I've just never seen anything like this before, to say nothing of the fact that, to your point, I would say it's just part of human nature. Like, it's part of like any sort of social gathering among people, and probably goes back to, the beginning of the species when
of course.
you had 3 people together and one of them said something the other 2 didn't like.
They like
there
grunted
was,
weird.
Yeah. There was like, obviously there was no Twitter by which to do it, but there was some sort of social ostracization and reputational consequence. I'm not defending. I'm just saying like this idea that the left invented it or that it's a relatively new invention is just absurd.
It's absurd. I mean, the term cancellation, maybe there's been a formalization of that in a way and like an understanding. But I think the height of this kind of like weird thinking that words only mean what they like in the era in which they were brought up, like that paradigmatic example. So, for example, the term genocide, that was an invented term from like the 40s and 50s and whatever, like, but we can apply the term genocide retroactively to things beyond it. Same thing with imperialism. Same thing with like racism. The concept of racism it's not as old, that notion of racism, as people think it is, but we can look backwards at other things in time to see like, does it fit the thing we're describing with the word? But no, it's totally out of control. Already out of control. And did you hear, by the way, sorry, this is a little bit of a tangent, but I just want to make sure.
Are you telling me a masturbation story?
No, I'm not.
Oh.
That the White House is apparently really like not satisfied with Kash Patel.
Yeah, I just did a video about that actually.
Wait, really?
Yeah, because
tell us about that, yeah.
Well, yeah, so Fox actually broke the story on this, and it's the reporting is pretty comprehensive, and it's based on 10 sources in various Trump administration agencies and in the executive office of the White House. And the long and short of it is, it's not just how he fucked up the investigation and the communication of the Charlie Kirk assassin manhunt. It's just like a bunch of other things where he which I didn't look into this.
Yeah.
I saw where the story broke, but I didn't have the time because it happened, before Kirk was shot. And of course that's dominated all the discourse. But apparently, there's like a really compelling lawsuit that's being filed against Kash Patel.
But they're like social media obsessed. They're like obsessed with social media. They're like very but they're not doing their job.
Well, wait. So there's like this really compelling lawsuit from like ex-FBI agents who they say were unlawfully fired by Patel because he like hijacked presidential authority, and the president didn't have the authority to fire them because they weren't at-will employees. And the article goes into details about how Kash Patel's own statements may have exposed Trump to liability where he might have to be deposed as a consequence.
Oh,
and so it's like it's all this shit coming together. Like the White House is freaking out about it behind the scenes. And the theme of the article is he doesn't know when to shut the fuck up. Like, and it goes into how even like during the press conferences, like when they announced the capture, or I can't even call it a capture because that implies he was taken against his will. When Robinson surrendered himself to the authorities.
This is cops being good cops. This is what happens when you let us be good cops.
This is what happens when you let cops accept suspects who surrender themselves to the cops. Like that's what a good cop is like, when they just like allow the suspect to like surrender themselves. Like that's some really good cop work there.
Not 5 hours before they're like, guys, we need your help. We really need your help. We don't know who the fuck this person is. They're like, this is what you happen when you let us be good cops, man.
It's so pathetic. But basically, you look at the report and it's like the theme is Kash. A lot of people don't like Kash Patel because they think he's obnoxious. They think he's in over his head. He like kind of Pam Bondi, he overpromises and underdelivers, and it's a lot of amateur bullshit. And I mean, Trump obviously doesn't want to give the media a victory here, Democrats a victory here by firing him. So I'm sure he's going to stay on. But like the other thing is, according to like leaks and insiders, Andrew Bailey, who's the former Missouri Attorney General, a lunatic, by the way. He's starting as
the responsible
FBI
guy, co-deputy, because these motherfuckers only care about fucking social media, and so you need a co-deputy director.
You need a guy who actually does the job. Like typically, I mean, you see this from deputies, like the deputy AG is and the deputy FBI director, like the chief operating officers of their respective departments and agencies. But like when you have the chief operating officer who's also as much of a fucking vapid figurehead as the guy above him, then they have to. This is another chief executive officer who actually knows what the fuck he's doing. And the reporting goes into detail there about leaks who are like, there's kind of like this under the table, deal that Bailey was not going to leave his position as attorney general and potentially fuck up a governorship run.
That's so
just to be
weird.
Like the second right hand man of Kash Patel. So we'll see what happens. But
that's so fucking weird. And can I add something? Like, did you hear that Kash Patel apparently was like in line at a fancy restaurant in New York when he's like tweeting off like, "We got the guy, guys." He's like eating fondue or some shit.
Yeah, he like flips, you know, those like discs or whatever, like one is green and the other one is red, and if it's green, the servers come over and they keep sliding shit off skewers or whatever. It's like these high-end like fancy Brazilian restaurants or whatever. That's Kash Patel, like, you know, he's like flipping his disc over, you know, being served by like 4 wait staff, wines being poured for him. He's got a sommelier and everything, or sommelier, you know, pouring the wine, and he's like tweeting the shit out like he's there in the trenches. What a fucking LARPer and cosplayer. And we got 3.5 years to go at a bare minimum.
At a bare minimum. It's crazy. And if you make fun of the fact that he said, "Rest now, brother, we have the watch, and I'll see you in Valhalla." If you make fun of that, apparently you're dancing on Kirk's grave. Apparently, if you condemn violence and just say, "I don't want to go to your vigil for Charlie Kirk," you're dancing on his grave. That's the standard now. And making fun of Kash Patel, that's dancing on Charlie Kirk's and his grave. And
you know what?
His
honestly,
wife.
Just doing anything that they don't like.
Yeah, I mean,
you're honestly an extremist who's dancing on the grave of a civil rights leader. That's what we were told by Glenn Beck, that he's not just a conservative
and an
activist. He's a civil. No. Patel's not the civil rights. Kirk is the civil rights leader.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Yeah, he's because they're saying he's like MLK.
Yeah,
he hates MLK, but
whom he despises.
Oh,
you
my
know,
God.
famous civil rights leader who famously opposes the Civil Rights Act. Like, I'm just trying to think. It's like calling yourself a feminist but not supporting the right of women to vote. I don't understand that.
Yeah, I mean,
but I don't know.
I don't have to understand their.
Yeah, that's right. I just need to shut up and do what I'm told. That's the thing. That's actually my fault, and I apologize. I apologize to you and your audience and everybody else in MAGA for daring to ask questions about the logic of all of this, and I'll be a good little boy moving forward.
And listen, if you want to have peace, you have to tell us that it was okay and good to vote for Donald Trump, that there are only 2 genders, that it's legitimate and good to be pro-life, that we were wrong about taxes, that tariff policy was correct by Trump, and then we'll have peace. What do you say? Did
you see? I just keep going. But did you watch the Wicks appearance on Such an Adam?
I'm about to. That's like what's on the agenda today.
Jesus,
I've heard it's insanity.
I didn't watch the whole thing because it was like 7 hours. Like, kudos to Wick for enduring that. But yeah, for the first half, it's not great. And honestly, when you consider that Wick is inclined to be charitable towards them, you know, because of a more centristy approach, and the fact that he's now outnumbered 2-1 and he still spanks them, like, he did really well. He did extremely well under the circumstances. And so I'll be excited to see what you have to say about that. Yeah. And then you mentioned like all the things that the mea culpa is. Have you seen, do you know who Batya Ungar Sargon is?
Yes. Yeah, I always forget her name, but
so fucking dumb. God, so just so dumb.
Yeah.
I don't know.
She's the person that's being quoted in that tweet. Like, let the left say we were wrong. It's legitimate to vote for Donald Trump. And there, people are like going after me. They're like, legitimate just means you shouldn't be killed for it. That's not what she means, right? Like, we all agree it's legitimate in the sense of you shouldn't be shot for voting for Trump. Okay, no one is saying you should be shot for voting for Trump among the mainstream. I'll say maybe there are some people, I guess, but like those are crazies, and they're not any big percentage of the left. And that's not what you mean by legitimate. What you mean by legitimate is that it's good, that it's right, that it's morally acceptable to vote. That's what you meant by legitimate in that context. And she's just being weaselly, and everyone knows it.
She's so dumb. Anyway, well, listen, this was a lot of fun, and again, thank you for the laughs yesterday. That was a lot of fun. And again, as Pisco does his stream, I would encourage anyone in Pisco's audience, if they have additional masturbation stories, Pisco is open 24/7.
No
Just
more.
Go into stream disagreements. It's called the Fappening.
Dude,
he's going to dedicate a separate voice channel to it.
What have you done?
And just line up one right after another.
If you do that, you're immediately banned from.
Stop that. These people want to unburden themselves, and you. Exactly. All right.
Thank you, man.
I'm out.
I'll see you tonight.
Buddy. Bye.
Bye.
Yeah.
Okay. All the things you said. He's still on the voice channel. Okay, left. Cool. It's just us now. Han Solo can't save you. You're a monster. Okay. Let's just listen to this real quick again.
Lastly, to my friend Charlie Kirk. Rest now, brother. We have the watch, and I'll see you in Valhalla.
What did he mean by that? Do you guys know what he meant by that? Let's do it one more time.
Lastly, to my friend Charlie Kirk, rest now, brother. We have the watch, and I'll see you in Valhalla.
Thank you so much for the membership. Guys, remember, you can be a member. It's very funny when you do this membership thing. It's a very nice, cool thing. Yeah. Very nice and cool to membership. And remember to follow me on TikTok at Pisco Lady. That's your call to action for the day. If you have a TikTok, I'm not telling you have to. But if you have a TikTok, Instagram, Pisco Lady, that's your call to action. We're going to check out this Wick thing because I've heard, and it's not the panel with Destiny and Talibots and Soy Pill. It's his conversation with Sitch and Adam, I think. So this is a different Wick panel than you've ever seen. You've never seen this kind of thing. This is something that you haven't been shown this. This is a forbidden Wick panel. It's forbidden. It's actually a violation. But yeah, we're gonna watch this. Or okay, first thing first. Ooh, I don't know. Actually. Let me think. I kind of want to go over a majority report covering me. All right, I'm going to do that first. All right, folks. So the majority report covered an aspect. I'm going to start again. I shouldn't say aspect. I don't know why that was in my head. The majority report covered part of my debate with Tim Pool, and this is what they had to say.
We have a Tim Pool clip. Oh, what ridiculousness is he saying now?
He's debating a guy I've seen on...
Is this the Alex Jones guy?
I'm not sure who this is.
Isn't that guy the Alex Jones guy?
Joel Webbin. I'm not sure.
I don't know.
So Joel Webbin is the Christian nationalist in this debate who says that trans people are biological ticking time bombs. Very interesting because if you believe the allegations in the Charlie Kirk assassination, the trans person is the person who called the police. He said they were biological ticking time bombs. And he was also the person who was saying, we want a theocracy. That's what's good.
But he's debating who this is.
Isn't that guy the Alex Jones guy?
Joel Webbin. I'm not sure.
I don't know.
Tomlinson, but he's debating a guy named Pisco Liddy.
Let's go.
Citation here in a second. But here are them talking about.
What show is this?
This is Culture War.
This is Tim Pool's show.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Conversation about Mahmoud Khalil.
Let me just stress something real quick. What Pisco does is he tries to trap you into an absolute position that you will deny 800,000
Hold on for a second. Didn't he accuse me of doing that too? He accuses everybody
This reminded me
of trying to force him to take a position on stuff instead of pretending like he sort of plays both sides of the fence.
Yeah, he's just a weather vane.
By the way, he totally does this every time. He's like, you're doing some trick by trying to make it so that I look like a fool because I have inconsistent positions. You're trying to hold me to some position, even though, I don't know, I feel like consistency is a basic principle that most people want to adhere to. They don't want to be inconsistent.
Or windsock.
Tries to trap you into an absolute position.
Oh, an absolute position.
800,000 times like I've done throughout the entirety of the show.
I can tell for the last 2 hours.
I can tell.
You deny that you supported.
So these, by the way, these guys are such beta cucks. They're like, yeah, I could tell he's a piece of shit, bad faith piece of fucker. By the way, this is the guy also, this British guy who is calling for Destiny to be jailed for his, quote, odious opinions. So this British guy, the British guy who I was also coming after because he was in principle against the First Amendment. And as a British person, I called that out. And I'm like, it's just very funny that you UK people come to our country to try to give us lectures about military deployments, which we overthrew in the American Revolution when you massacred the citizens in Boston. And that you come to lecture us about the First Amendment. Just very funny. And of course, you've never been to Boston, have you?
Deny 800,000 times like I've done throughout the entirety of the show.
I can tell for the last 2 hours.
I can tell.
You deny
I
that
can
you
tell.
supported.
And look at this little cuckoldry. They're like, he's this kind of bad person, and he has all these tactics. I can tell. Yeah, we can tell. Can once in their life they be like, Tim, why don't you just address the argument instead of doing this kind of like meta conversation shit?
You will deny 800,000 times like I've done throughout the entirety of the show.
I can tell for the last 2 hours.
hang on a second.
You deny that you supported Mahmoud Khalil's deportation. You said
Whoa.
You supported that deportation.
Clip this, guys.
For Israel wall.
Clip this, guys. This is a really, really great
Clip
one.
it. Clip
he said,
it.
I support, in general, people being
Pause
deported
it for
over
a
Israel.
second. Wait a second. Didn't Tim Pool criticize me for saying clip this? Prop clipping?
Now Tim thinks he's the prop clipper now. The prop clip has become the prop clipper.
I mean, use your tactics, their enemy's tactics on them.
But I'll say, I don't think Tim makes a good point here.
Oh, you supported that deportation.
Clip this, guys.
For Israel.
Clip this, guys. This is a really, really great one. He said, I support, in general, people being deported over Israel. Then, when challenged, he did the Mountain Bailey back to a single individual with certain contexts.
Well, that's why he's being deported, isn't he? And the same thing with Mesa Ozturk. Didn't he call to destroy Western civilization?
My point is made.
Hang on a second.
Wait. His point was made? His point was made. You support people being deported because of their views on Israel. Oh, what are you talking about? You supported Khalil's deportation. Well, that's just one example of exactly what you're talking about.
The most high-profile, basically, political prisoner for his political speech on Palestine.
This is where Tim.
By the way, this is so needed for me because you feel like a crazy person sometimes when you're in these environments. When you go to the compound and you're like, bro, this is an exact example of what I'm talking about. And he acts like it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter that I supported it. It doesn't prove your point. So it's very affirming to have Emma and Sam basically acknowledging reality.
Most high-profile, basically, political prisoner for his political speech on Palestine.
This is where Tim Pool would, if he actually had a genuine position against it, would say, I did support that, but I didn't support this, and this example of what you're talking about because the Khalil deportation was specifically different on these terms. Now, Tim Pool won't say that because he doesn't believe that. He doesn't know of any other circumstances. Yeah. But he needs to maintain this notion of like, yes, I am sort of against this, but I can't be too explicit about it. So let's Mountain Bailey.
Yeah, and also Mahmoud Khalil didn't say he's trying to end Western civilization.
Oh, cool.
That's what he said. He's actually picked as
there was like some other group that said something about Western civilization, and it's not as they're representing it, and it's not Mahmoud Khalil's statement.
A mediator between the activists and the administration because he is fairly measured.
And because Jewish students said explicitly he's not anti-Semitic and we like dealing with him?
Yeah, so they're just making stuff up to justify it.
Okay.
Because they do support it.
Mesa Ozturk. Didn't he call to destroy Western civilization?
My point is made.
Hang on a second. He's being deported because he was critical of Israel.
You ask a question about a specific criminal context, but then try to
criminal context. What is he being charged with criminally?
Well, let's see. You see, this is the game he's playing.
What's the game?
Okay, so, you know,
He's listening to me.
He's listening to what I'm saying, and he's trying to.
I know this listening game.
Yeah, so it's like I'm a bad person for hearing you say particular criminal context and reminding everybody that he's not been charged with any crime, that there isn't a criminal case against him. He has no conviction. I'm the asshole for listening to what Tim Pool is saying and responding to it. And it, again, just so affirming to have these people actually, people who have some amount of sense basically stating the obvious, which is that there's nothing wrong with me being like, hang on, no criminal.
And try to
criminal context. What is he being charged with criminally?
Well, let's see. You see, this is the game he's playing.
What's the game?
Okay, so,
He's listening to me.
He's listening to what I'm saying, and he's trying to.
I know this listening game.
I know this. Make me define my terms.
Oh my God.
He's being deported because he was critical of Israel.
You ask a question about a specific criminal context, but then try to
criminal context. What is he being charged with criminally?
Well, let's see. You see, this is the game he's playing. He'll say, you'll say something like, "Here's a guy who stabbed the baby. She go to jail, and he was black." And you're like, "Yes." He's like, "Well, Tim said black people should go to jail." It's like, what the fuck are you talking
Wait, no.
about?
You supported someone who's
One guy, one time.
Because he was critical of Israel. That's why you did support that. I mean, I had a conversation
because of that, or because he did other things that were objectively immoral.
Lying.
No, I'm not lying. What's the lie?
Did he do other things that were objectively immoral? Like list one.
That guy thinks women shouldn't be allowed to work.
Oh, all right. Well, that was it. Okay.
One woman, one time.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I don't want to be too indulgent, but I do have to back up to where Tim Pool repeats, "One man, one time."
Hang on a second. He's being deported because he was critical of Israel.
You ask a question about a specific criminal context, but then try to
criminal context. What is he being charged with criminally?
Well, let's see. You see, this is the game he's playing.
What's the game?
He'll say, you'll say something like, "Here's a guy who stabbed the baby. She go to jail, and he was black." And you're like, "Yes." He was like, "Well, Tim said black people should go to jail." It's like, what the fuck are you talking about?
You supported someone.
Pause it for a second. No. You could do the one guy one time in a second, but the analogy is not, here's a guy who stabbed a baby and he's black and Tim Pool wants black people to go to jail. The analogy
more
is,
Mon Bailey
here's a
horseshit.
guy who stabbed a baby, incidentally.
I don't even understand any of this
Tim
shit,
is now
guys, I'll be
equating
honest.
criticizing Israel with stabbing a baby. But let's let that slide for a moment. What Tim is doing is saying,
Sam,
here's a guy who
right?
stabbed a baby, he should go to jail. And there's another guy who stabbed a baby, and I'm not going to talk about that.
No.
Here's a guy.
Well, no, it's more.
You're saying Tim is being criticized for suggesting that someone who stabs a baby should go to jail. Now, in this case, Tim is the one who has made that the equivalent of criticizing Israel. But his analogy is also fake.
There's something
It's amazing
there.
how
There's
hard he's
something
running
there.
from this.
Because it's
Who
not,
is this guy that he's debating? Is this somebody he has regularly on the show? And it's really
I've seen this guy on Twitter. He's
Pisco.
good.
No,
Yeah.
I've seen him on the
Oh, I seen this guy on Twitter. He's good. Well, Emma, I'd love to be on the show. I'd love to talk to you too at some point. I saw someone in the chat, by the way, they're like, you're trying to rehabilitate Majority Report. I don't have any ability to rehabilitate Majority Report. There's some things that I disagree with Majority Report on, or with Emma and Sam on, but in general, I like Majority Report. I've never hidden that. But also, I don't have the ability to rehabilitate the Majority Report. I'm just a guy. I'm just a dude. I'm a small little content creator. And so I don't have this rehabilitative power that you think I do.
taking a pool to
But
somebody.
yeah,
It's
I'm
amazing
good.
how
I'm on
hard he's
Twitter.
running
I'm
from
good
this.
on Twitter.
Because it's
Who
not,
is this guy that he's debating? Is this somebody who has regularly on the show? And it's
You know
really
I've
me.
seen
You
this
know
guy
me,
on
Sam.
Twitter. He's
Pisco.
good.
No, I've
Yeah,
seen him
yeah.
on the straight.
taking a pool to school.
He's a good analyst on stuff. I've seen him on the Straighterade Twitch channel.
He's a good analyst. I've seen him on the Straighterade channel. What? You know me through Straighterade?
Taking a pool to school.
He's a good analyst on stuff. I've seen him on the Straighterade Twitch channel. I believe he has his own Twitch now, which might even be live. But yeah.
I'm a Straighterade orbiter.
Yeah, this is Pisco.
But stabbing a baby is not free speech. Okay, so like I just want to tease it out just for a little bit longer. So it would be as if a black guy stabbed a baby in a different country.
One guy, one time.
Right, and then like which I guess would be the Hamas attack, and then he would be saying that all black people who discuss the stabbing of the baby or the systemic reasons behind the stabbing of the baby.
You're
would be
trying
subject
to. You're
equal
trying too
immunity.
hard. You're trying too
I'm not trying to. I'm trying to say how stupid it is.
It's so stupid, but you can't even make it like that analogy because he's just either A, equating criticizing Israel to stabbing a baby, and then B, also switching the entire analogy. His analogy is wrong. Go ahead.
See, you see, this is the game he's playing.
What's the game?
He'll say something, you'll say something like, here's a guy who stabbed the baby, should go to jail, and he was black, and you're like, yes. He was like, well, Tim said black people should go to jail. It's like, what the fuck are you talking
Wait, no.
about?
You supported someone who's
One guy, one time. One guy, one
because
time.
he was critical of Israel. That's why you did support that. I mean, I had a
I did
conversation.
not
Because of that, or because he did other things that were objectively
He's
immoral?
lying.
No, I'm not lying. What's the lie? What are you in favor of his deportation then for?
I'm not.
You said you were when we had this conversation.
Thinks Americans shouldn't be in the country. No, I said that the State Department.
This motherfucker, this British guy.
Deportation then for.
By the way, he seemed like a decent guy behind the scenes. He was just like, whatever, just chilling behind the scenes. Some of these people are nice behind the scenes. I don't want to say they're not nice behind the scenes, but this guy is calling
You said you were when we had this conversation.
for Americans. He's coming to our country. Trump is letting this British guy into our country to say that Americans, like Destiny, say which one about Destiny, he's an American, should be put in prison for his opinions. That's what this guy is being let into the country to say. That Americans should be put in prison for their opinions.
No, I said that the State Department has unilateral authority under the law to deport whoever they want.
But you think it's wrong for them to try to deport Mahmoud Khalil?
Does your brain work, brother?
Well, can you answer that?
Do you understand the distinction between someone speaking in
Look at that pause. By the way, this is on like 1.25. They're probably having it on 1.25 speed or something. But like, look at how long this pause is. Just answer he's so scared.
Department has unilateral authority under the law to deport whoever they want.
But you think it's wrong for them to try to deport Mahmoud Khalil?
Does your brain work, brother?
Well, can you answer that?
Do you understand the distinction between someone speaking and getting deported and the State Department having the authority to do so under color of
Okay,
law?
so do you agree with them doing that?
I believe that Marco Rubio has the authority under the law as
agree
passed
with
by
his
the
exercise
This is
authority
the
in that
exact same thing he always does. This is what he did with capital punishment too, right? He did the exact same thing. What do you like? Is there literally somebody behind the scenes going like, if you say he shouldn't have been deported, we are pulling money out of your bank account. He is so desperate not to say this.
It's interesting.
he has really got this formula down because he does the same thing with capital punishment. When I question him about it, I was like,
oh, I remember
they could
this.
have committed capital punishment, even though he said should.
Oh yeah, so he did say they should get the capital punishment, and people were like, because Kamala Harris said something like, "This is," or her account, Kamala for President, basically said, "This is Tim Pool calling for the death of his enemies" or something. And Tim Pool had said they should get capital punishment, and then made a lawsuit. I wonder whatever happened to that lawsuit, where he's like, "This is defamation. I would never support the death penalty. Everybody knows I'm against the death penalty." But in the clip, he says they should get capital punishment. And that's what he's referencing right here, where he was trying to weasel him. Oh, I just meant that they could, even though he said they should.
Because he does the same thing with capital punishment. When I question him about it, I was like, they could have committed capital punishment.
That's a classic.
Even though he said should. Now you're just being now it's just semantics.
I just want to point out, just when you say, is there someone behind the scenes? I'm not saying that this is the case, but we do know that Tim was seeking some funding mechanisms that ended up being, Russian money going through some sort of
that is true. It ended up being that case. I'm not saying anything other than it ended up being that case.
Man.
Yeah, right. He got it from
Lauren Southern.
It was reported a few months ago that Benjamin Netanyahu and Tim Pool met. Along with Dave Rubin. We also know that Benjamin Netanyahu's son, who is of fighting age, but he's in a Miami high-rise, is a big fan of Tim Pool and often tweets about it.
I don't understand what she meant by he is of fighting age. Is that a call to violence, Emma? Maybe it's just a reference to something else Tim Pool said.
And who is of Netanyahu and Tim Pool met, along with Dave Rubin. We also know that Benjamin Netanyahu's son, who is of fighting age, but he's in a Miami high-rise, is a big fan of Tim Pool and often tweets about it.
Oh, no. She's saying he could be fighting in the IDF, but he's in that high rise. Okay. Sorry. I didn't mean to imply anything. I just didn't understand, but okay. I understand what she's saying.
I wanted to throw that out there because there's a lot of foreign
One
money.
guy, one time.
That was Lauren Chen, not Lauren Southern. Apologies for getting them.
I believe that Marco Rubio has the.
Lauren Chen was the person who actually knew. Lauren Southern was someone who unwittingly was getting the money. And I think it was even like less money than most of the other people.
Authority under the law as passed by the American people.
Authority in that context.
Pause it for 1 second. I will also say that while the State Department may have the right to revoke visas, if it is found that they're doing it specifically because of free speech, the Supreme Court has also found that that is what curbs their ability to do it. You could.
Yeah, and by the way, I agree with Sam here. It's just at this point in the conversation, I'm not trying to have a conversation about that because I already had that conversation. But I actually do agree that it's not just a matter of ethics here. I think there's also a matter of lack of authority, that you can't violate the First Amendment. So I agree with Sam there. I just didn't get into it. I didn't push that because we already had that conversation, and I was just trying to get him to concede that the point of what he was calling for previously, not that it was unlawful, which of course I agree it's unlawful. So I agree with Sam here.
You can, in fact, have a power that the government has, but if it is exercised based upon principles that are anti-constitutional or against the Constitution, then they don't have the ability to do that. That is, free speech is specifically where the government does not punish people because of their speech. And so even if they have the ability to do something, if they do it because it is spurred by...
I agree with this, obviously, based on all my coverage of the global entry thing, all of my discussion about Mahmoud Khalil. So yes, I agree.
Speech that the government doesn't like, then it becomes unconstitutional.
Sometimes maybe.
No, in Mahmoud Khalil's case, do you support his deportation?
I think that's a great case. It's perfectly consistent
I would say
with his overall
C-.
position.
I don't care.
Whether you care or not, do you think
Great
it should happen?
I believe that the State Department has the authority to do so,
not
and
asking
I don't care whether they do or don't.
Smashing the controller right now.
No, you're saying that you don't care as in
So
you're indifferent whether they do it or not.
Indeed. So let me say this.
Indeed.
When I said in the last debate, Marco Rubio, under the law, has the authority to do so, and I don't really care, he then came here and said Tim thinks people should be deported for speech about Israel. You see the distinction?
No,
there?
you're fine with it. You're fine with them doing that, aren't you?
Fine with and don't care are different things. You see the distinction?
No,
there?
you're fine with it. You're fine with them doing that, aren't you?
Fine with and don't care are different things.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
He takes a sip for his applause break.
Exactly. Actually, go back. Let's get that sip, because he actually thinks he's cooking here, which is very funny.
You're fine with it. You're fine with them doing that, aren't you?
Fine with and don't care are different things.
So,
Then why do you do this, bro?
What are you talking about?
No, it's
Why?
not.
What is the point? point.
He does care.
Yeah.
This is the thing. He's always
Obviously.
talking about free speech and whatnot. He does care. It's just that for whatever reason, people can come up with their own conclusions as to why he is so terrified to take a position on it. Like, he takes positions on all these other things. It's not that he doesn't care. It's that he's afraid to say it. Because if he says he's okay with Khalil being deported because of what he said about Israel, he knows he's going to lose part of his audience.
Yep.
But if he says he's against Khalil for being deported because of his thoughts on Israel, he could probably lose something else. Maybe it's funding. Maybe it's some other part of his audience. Who knows?
And by the way, they're already talking about, with respect to withholding funding, if you want to talk about it on the individual level, on the institutional level, they're talking about withholding funding if you're not sufficiently mournful of Charlie Kirk's. Just to let you know that, maybe Tim Pool's fear isn't unfounded, that they will utilize whatever power they have over revenue streams to go after you if you are out of line with their dogma.
Who knows?
I like him using "I don't care" there, just because I'm thinking a little bit about.
I wonder where he heard
where
that.
he got that. It's odd that he's using both the clipping part and the "I don't care."
It's like
Sam,
Oh, is
on
that-
some
that's like a
level,
Sam thing?
Tim Pool has, in many respects, studied me to try and learn
It feels that way.
a technique. But it's like when your student just maybe has like a dyslexia or something like that, and he
Oh my
just
God.
can't quite.
You
get it.
ableist.
That's an analogy. It's not accusing Tim of having dyslexia
Oh
or
no,
being
no.
ableist.
I don't
Yes.
think Tim has dyslexia. No, dyslexia is a challenge. The words get switched
Understood.
up. It's tough to read, and
That's liberal surrender hands from Sam. He's learning from the master.
it's and left untreated, it's very, very difficult to learn things. I'm not saying that Tim has dyslexia.
He just might need extra. He needs a little extra kind of push for him to understand some of these concepts.
No, I just think there are some things that he can't understand, and maybe
Because
there's some
he's
things where it's just
dyslexic?
too expensive for him
What
to
were you
understand.
saying, Sam? What were you saying?
Exactly.
The dude has an entire empty skateboard, indoor park.
Can you imagine the electricity
pretty
bill on that
sick.
kind of
Well,
thing?
the electricity bill, and I imagine he also thought like there would be more people using it, and it wouldn't just be him every day
She was
riding. the-
offered a tour, sushi, and poker with the boys.
He does have folks that come and watch him.
Militant apathy says
That is true. Well, I don't know if they're paid or anything, but he does have like some, I don't know, some dudes just chilling, playing tech dudes. I thought it was pretty cool. And they did offer like West Virginia's finest pizza afterwards, which was, better than the food I had at the hotel.
He's your son. You failed as a parent, Sam. In many respects, I did.
I understand.
In many respects, I did fail, Tim. So I am sorry for that. I did my best.
He copied something you did.
Yes, he said you're getting emotional, Sam.
Yeah, exactly. He's like
You're so emotional.
He's
like a bad mimic.
Oh, no.
seems like it bothers him a little. Yeah. I mean, some of those more viral clips, I guess. But
Well, and someone told me that he's upset because whenever he searches himself on YouTube, whenever he searches Tim Pool, because we say Tim Pool so much, apparently he gets videos that we did about Tim Pool.
we should stop saying Tim Pool so much because Tim Pool might be upset, and that's not very nice to Tim Pool.
Unfair to Tim Pool.
And that goes so far beyond the pale. I just can't even.
It's a great
Yeah,
post.
Southern debutante.
I just can't even.
Just can't.
Yeah.
This is great shit.
Oh, boy. All right. We're out of time. We didn't get the phone calls today. Dave.
Okay, well, that was the coverage on Majority Report. Shout out Majority Report for covering that part of the debate. I thought it was pretty funny. Shout out them. What did he say? I know him from the Straighter Age channel. That was insane. So now I'm the little fish. He knows me from the Straighter Age channel. Very interesting. I guess lefties flock together. But that was very cool. Very, very cool. That was normal and correct, actually. Yes, always has been, always were. Got it. Understood. All right, we're going to now get into the this. Now, I'm told this is a little bit unhinged. And so we're going to just watch at 1.25 and do a little bit of a reaction to what I'm told is a very, interesting discussion, some unhinged people on it. Shout out to Straight Raid for letting one of your orbiters go on Tim Pool. Straight Raid just a little broed you. Yeah, well, in fairness, I did make a video titled Insane Crazy Leftist Denies Reality in Heated Debate. So, folks, just little inside baseball. That was Erin's proposed title, just so you know. So she can act like all whatever about it. She literally proposed that title. That was her record. So don't come at me and be like, this is your co-host, dude. That was the verbatim title that she suggested. I didn't make the thumbnail either. I did not make the thumbnail. But just be aware of that, so no one gets to like hound me for being too like mean or whatever. And by the way, the results speak for themselves. I posted that, and the engagement was so much higher than usual. Everyone's in the chat like, we warned you, Pisco. We warned you, and you wouldn't listen to us. Now you know. Hutch is completely vindicated. Every comment is just like totally attacking. Erin was basically like, you should lean into it, you know. Don't try to avoid it. Just lean into it. So, you know, this is a ruthless businesswoman who just cares about the engagement, and kudos to her. She was absolutely correct. And I was like, we were, for like hours, we were watching the engagement, and it's like so funny to note that what people do for clickbait actually works. Like, it works. There's a 1-to-1 correlation between the title and the thumbnail being incendiary and viewers' engagement. It's absolutely a provable fact. But okay. What is this, by the way? Can we not? God. All right.
Hey now, it's your boy PSA Sitch here with another Sunday show with everyone's favorite Adam Friended, and today we're joined by Wick and Tali. How you guys doing?
Oh, we're
doing great.
We're okay. Okay.
So this is my favorite people. Okay, on the one hand, you have Sitch, who's husband to Adam, and then you have Wick TV, who's a debate host, and his intellectual powerhouse co-host, centrist Talibots. I'm just joking, but like Talibots is a Trump voter, but she has some things that she agrees with the left on, but she couldn't bring herself to vote for Kamala in 2024. So that's like, I guess Wick is like the more lefty host. They're both kind of centristy types. Wick is the one who voted for Kamala, I would say more left wing, and Tali maybe more right wing, certainly like culturally right wing.
we set this up before the Charlie Kirk incident happened, I believe. Yeah,
we did.
So.
Yes. So
yeah,
there's coincidence. Yeah.
Yeah,
but,
there's.
So, I mean, originally we were going to talk about the Ukrainian woman who was murdered on the train, but now, I mean, we might get to that a little bit, but now obviously, you know, the Charlie Kirk assassination has dominated the news cycle, and you know, a lot of people. I didn't have a chance to watch it. A lot of people were pointing out that you had some very contentious streams about this, Wick. I don't. Where should we start this conversation? Because we talked about this obviously on Thursday.
Well, I mean, the stream came together because one of our fans super chatted us and said Wick was talking shit on his stream about you in particular. So somehow I came out.
That's all they care about, by the way. They're like, you were talking shit about us, so we're gonna bring you on here and fucking do this little routine we do every time. And they never take it in stride, and they never take it in like in a thoughtful way. It's always like, you were talking shit. It's
unscathed. So I think I'd like to know the backstory on what the shit talking was.
Talking smack.
Okay. First of all,
Adam's law is 99% of politics is shit talking the other side, and 1% is actually about substance. So this actually falls into Adam's law.
Adam's law.
Well, we'll see if it's the 99% or the 1%. But I just want to point out that this kind of framing of how this is presented does play into the topic of media bias as well, right? Mm-hmm. Looking at someone and how they respond to things. So I saw a post that Sitch made on Twitter, and I have it up here.
That's how it starts.
It's a pretty long one, but basically you're replying to someone about why you thought that the story of the Ukrainian woman who got murdered on the railway in Charlotte was newsworthy, and your point, you had 2 points, right? That it was newsworthy just by the facts of the case, right? Like a story of a woman fleeing a war zone to be tragically and randomly murdered by a crazy person, right? And then your second point was that, and this is the one I disagreed with, was that it was being purposefully subdued, or at least passed over or ignored because of media bias. I disagreed with that take. I didn't think that there was a lot of evidence for that. I thought it could be explained by a lot more ways, and I said that on my stream when I did the stream about it. I don't know if you'd consider that talking shit.
Yeah, that is what they would consider talking shit. If you disagree with us, you're talking shit. If you're like, why would you vote for Trump over Biden? That's you talking shit. So they would consider that talking shit, just to be clear.
But that is why...
if you disagree with Sitch or Adam, you're like, you're being mean to them. Or if you try to like confront them with, hey, you said this before, and now you're saying this, that's like talking shit and being like rude.
A super chatter,
rude to like your best friend, the married couple, Sitch and Adam.
Chatted to you, right? And
well, did you say like, well, Chet, I disagree with the very intelligent PSA Sitch here on this minor point, or did you say this fucking retard PSA Sitch here doesn't know what he's talking about?
Excellent question.
You know what? It is a good question. I wish I remembered my exact quote that day. It could have been either It could have been either, depending on my mood. Okay.
Could have been a little of both, maybe.
It might have been. Unfortunately, my memory has been destroyed by the recent few days, and like
your memory has been destroyed by the recent few days, or like your memory's been destroyed by all the weed you've been smoking.
You asked me how I'm doing, and I'm gonna be real with you. I'm not well with all this. Like,
yes, actually married. Just kidding. No, they're not actually married. Don't sue me for defamation. They're not married.
The guy who was talking to Charlie Kirk when he got shot. I know that guy.
I know that guy too. Staxiums. I know him.
Friends with that guy.
Wow.
He's been on my show. Okay. So it's been a lot.
I knew the guy who was at the rally where Charlie Kirk was shot. Wick, what are you talking like? So you're traumatized because you knew the guy who was the last guy to speak to Charlie Kirk before he was shot? Maybe.
I'm friends with that guy.
Wow.
He's been on my show. Okay. So it's been a lot. Obviously way more for him than me,
Yeah,
but like,
what was his name?
Staxiums. You
He
may
gave a very good interview about the situation. I was like, there's a very good video about it that he's talking to someone about it for like 40, 50 minutes.
Yeah.
I think that's the guy who interviewed Hunter Biden.
It is the guy that interviewed Hunter Biden. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And to be clear, because I know that there was a lot of like, whenever there's some incident like this, people jump out, they rush out with the crazy conspiracy theories. Everyone wants to kind of figure out what's going on with the situation. There was a lot of misinformation about people thinking that he was somehow involved.
Oh yeah.
With the shooting, because he was asking him a question that was about the trans stuff.
Wow, like you knew the guy? Are you okay, man? I'm sorry. Okay, like I knew him too. I remember I was talking to someone. I was like, I know the guy who did that, and she was like, so, and so now I'm doing it to Wick. So, Wick, I feel for you, man. It's traumatic.
From the trans shootings, when the guy assassinated Charlie Kirk, and so people thought that, but no, this guy had obviously nothing to do with it. He thought the shooting was horrendous. He definitely seems traumatized by the whole thing.
Yeah.
So I would recommend. Yeah, it's Channel 5 with Andrew Callahan, and it's the last person to debate Charlie Kirk exclusive interview. Got 3 million views already. It's a very good video. You guys should check it out afterwards.
Yeah, but the whole idea of I could have been there, right? It could have been me on that stage, or it could have been me at any other live event, right, that we go to, like the Ohio canvassing event I went to and other things, right? And the idea that someone out there thought it was okay to answer words with a bullet. It's just a lot. It's just very...
Because it could have been me.
I don't like it. I'm scared for the country right now. I really legitimately fear for the state of our nation, and here we are. Yeah.
Well, do you think is it the fact that Charlie Kirk was killed? Do you think that's like the scary thing to you, or the fact that he was killed and so many people seem to be cheering it on, and then so many people seem to be calling for retribution in response? That's more.
Wick will never be the same guy again after his friend saw a guy get shot. I'm sorry. We're done with that. Nice meme though, Miro.
Yes is the answer to that. obviously the death itself, right? The killing, the murder. That's obviously a shock to our system because
I agree.
while
It's
yes,
a
there
shock.
are
It's a shock.
killings in America, I mean, murders happen almost all the time.
To be honest, it's traumatic. It is that whole video is like seared in my mind. So I'm not just the notion that I knew the guy, and so it's been extra hard for me because I knew the guy who saw it. That's the part that made me laugh. But I'm not trying to downplay the seriousness of the actual incident.
Unfortunately, even that same day, there was a school shooting.
Bro, debate Andrew Wilson. He said he will not debate me unless I personally, out of my pocket, pay him thousands of dollars. Just to be clear, thousands of dollars. There have been organizations that have tried to set up a debate, and he has said no until he pays me thousands of dollars. I won't. Just to be clear, I have documented proof of this.
Right, that no one talks about in Colorado, I believe.
And he said it can't be the organization; it has to be Pisco.
Some 16-year-old shot up a school, killed 2 children. But this hits a little different because of the reaction to it and how it's being, as you said, either celebrated or used as an excuse to basically call for a civil war. Yeah, I made a pretty anodyne tweet that day calling for de-escalation, right? Like, okay, this is enough. We need to tone down everything. We need to turn the...
You're such a lying sack of shit. I mean, we have the tweets. He goes, Pisco's different. I mean, he literally has said it. Pisco is different. He's going to have to pay. Hang on. I'm sure I can find something. If you really want to test me on it. Nothing is worse than these like presuppositional fucking Andrew Wilson cocksucks. Dudes is literally a moron. What's his fucking name? Paleo ChristCon? Okay, this is one I found. There's more though, but this is what I'll provide for you. One sec. So this is what he did. So first, and then there was a separate attempt by another organization to set one up, and he refused unless I paid $1,000. I'm not going to reveal those DMs right now because I think it's in bad taste, but it did happen, and you can ask him yourself whether it happened. But this is the tweet. So he was adding me multiple times. He said, Pisco pays me, I will debate him. If Pisco pays me, as a condition. He says, I will not debate him unless he pays me. And there have been other organizations that have tried to get us to debate. And then separately, one time his friend got into an accident, and he thought it was really classy to be like, if you donate $500 to this guy's who had an accident's charity, I'll debate you. Very classy move here of like fucking trying to guilt me into donating to his friend who got in an accident. In this case, in his credit, this was only $500. But after this event where I didn't reply to it because I thought it was actually in poor taste, that has since risen again to thousands of dollars. And that has been consistent. There's another tweet, I can't find it right at the moment, where he's like, everyone else doesn't have to pay, but Pisco has to pay. So SC, any response? I'm not too afraid to debate him either. He was invited. He possibly was going to arrive on the Tim Pool thing. I was giddy with excitement that he was going to arrive to the Tim Pool events. 2 of them. These people are fucking idiots, SC. You understand? Myron Gaines and Andrew Wilson are fucking idiots. He's 5 times your phone. Yeah, he's bigger than me. So now the debate is who's bigger. So you realize that he's a bitch, and he won't debate me unless I pay out of pocket either thousands of dollars to him or $500 to the guy who had an accident. And so now the debate has changed to, oh, are you bigger or smaller than him? Yeah, Andrew Wilson is bigger than me. So? How about you throw the clip of him up of him making fun of you, saying how you know that you couldn't hang with him, and you'll know. I don't know what you're talking about. I don't watch Andrew Wilson's like show, so maybe he said that. I've never seen it. If you have a clip, you know, just fucking show it to me. But you just got BTFO'd, bro. Completely BTFO'd. Andrew's a little bitch. He's always put conditions of payment on me debating him. That I personally pay him or the fucking his friend who got in an accident. And there's other instances of this as well, that people have tried to organize debates on Trump and other issues. So, yeah, get fucked.
Temperature down. Stop trying to celebrate this. Stop trying to use this as an excuse to like fight your enemies or whatever. We just need to recognize we're all Americans. We're all citizens. We are all people and humans in this country. And I kid you not, over 1,000 comments telling me that we are going to fucking kill you, right? Like, and going through with like images of polar bears like mauling people and shit.
Wow.
Yeah, it was.
And look at what he's in. This is $500. Only $500. Like, out of sheer principle, I'm not gonna fucking pay this motherfucker to debate. Why would I pay him to debate? What the fuck? I have to pay $500. He's trying to guilt me into spending money for his fucking hurt friend?
Crazy the amounts.
Why is he putting conditions on that? I mean, this organization was going to fly us both out, organize a live debate in person. I'm not going to fucking pay this dipshit to debate. He doesn't do that with other people. He goes on Wick TV's channel. So why am I different? Explain that. Like, why am I different than like Wick? It's because he's a bitch.
Of animosity that existed in that. And I thought it was a pretty tame statement to make. I don't know. But yeah.
Yeah, well, people, I mean, right as it happens, people are going to be a lot more on edge, emotional about the situation. And you hope that after, you know, a few days, some of the temper's cool. I think I've seen some people's tempers seem to be cool. Some have not. They seem to just keep going. And obviously social media plays a part in kind of roiling everyone up. It's, you know, to me, it's very disturbing because I do think that his murder, you know, theoretically, it could have been a moment where people came together. And obviously that's not at all what's happening whatsoever. I think largely because of the fact that there are so many people that were...
No, I'm not. I am out of principle not going to pay from my fucking wallet either $500. And by the way, he has said that he doesn't want it to be a shell transaction where it's just someone else paying in, like, where it's not really me paying for my own. It's stupid because all money is fungible, right? But he has said that. But out of principle, I'm not paying this motherfucker. I'm not giving this motherfucker more money to debate me. I'm not doing that.
Cheering this on, which, you know, to me, the interesting thing, one of the interesting things about so many people cheering it on is that even though the mainstream and all the, like almost every politician I think I've seen and every mainstream newscaster has, you know, said very strongly that that this is disgusting and this is horrible and you should never, you know, react to someone you don't agree with politically with violence, which is good. But then when you look at the comments and a lot of TikTokers and Instagram accounts, things like that, it's just nonstop, or not nonstop, but it seems like there's so many calls for violence. And the interesting thing to me is that there's so many people who are posting on accounts that have their real names on it, their real faces, their real pictures on it, who are calling for either more violence against people on the right or saying it was justified and all this other stuff. And that signifies that I think a lot of people who are on the left or the far left have completely been living just in this bubble world where they have no clue that that saying something that extreme, that crazy, that batshit crazy online would be seen by most people as disgusting. And that's why there was a couple expos I saw that were interesting where people were completely shocked that there were all these people who had called for violence against Charlie Kirk's family were getting fired now, and they couldn't fathom it. And to me, I'm sitting here like, really? You're so out of touch with the world. You've not touched grass for so long that you didn't understand that you celebrating a political assassination or calling for someone to be murdered, you didn't understand that when that gets found out and you put your name behind it, that yes, there's a good chance you'll be fired or suffer some sort of penalty because of that.
Yeah, there's a couple things here. I have seen, and it would be foolish of me to deny that there are a lot of people on the left who are celebrating this. There's videos of that. They, like you said, TikToks, Instagrams, and things like that. But I'm not sure it's as many as people want you to believe. I think that most people I've talked to in my circles, and maybe my circles are just different. Maybe my circles are just built better, okay? But 90% of the people I've talked to in my circles are, this is horrific, this is bad. Some of them have no sympathy, right? They don't particularly care, right? They're like, well, I didn't know Charlie Kirk, okay, I disagreed with him, whatever, but he didn't deserve this, right? And I don't think that's necessarily, I don't demand grieving from strangers, right? Like,
sure.
I don't know the kids who were killed that day either. Like, it's sad, but I don't know them.
I think it's a good point from Wick. Like, I think there's a distinction between celebrating the death of another person in horrible circumstances, which I think that you should condemn for sure. So the difference between celebrating that and not grieving sufficiently. And I think that it's a little bit much to say like, oh, you're not grieving sufficiently. That's what you did wrong. But I think it's separate to be like celebrating.
I can only shed so many tears. But I will say that a lot of people are trying to portray it as everyone on the left. If you, like, I've seen Matt Walsh tweet about,
100%.
Elon Musk has tweeted about this, that the left wants you dead. And I think that these comments are absolutely uncalled for. I think that it's further dividing us. And I think that there is a bit of a witch hunt going around with these doxing sites and things. Because, while yes, some are celebrating it, I've seen people post names and not names, but names and jobs, especially of military members.
Calling him an asshole right after he's killed is justifying the killing? No, it's literally not. Now, I refrain from doing this and saying that he's an asshole on the day he died, but like, you're not going to get me to be that's just a matter of grace where I felt wrong it felt weird for me to say it on that particular day. But calling Charlie Kirk an asshole or saying that Charlie Kirk was a bad person or a fascist, I believe he was a fascist and I believe that he was not a good person, is not celebrating or justifying his killing. It just isn't.
Who made posts that were merely critical of Charlie Kirk and saying, look, they're justifying his murder too. But their posts, at least in one case, specifically denounce violence. And they just say basically, well, I just don't care. And I think what he did was, what he said wasn't good and I don't like it, but he didn't deserve to die. And they're trying to use that and paint it as, look, they're calling for violence. They're condoning violence. We should fire them. And I think Hegseth is looking through
and also he was no angel. That's literally the meme from that conservatives will say about recent people who die after they've been murdered too. Like, George Floyd was murdered. Okay, it wasn't intentional murder; it was unintentional murder, but he was murdered, and people said he was no angel.
The military members' posts and threatening to UCMJ anyone who spoke negatively about Charlie Kirk that day, and I think that's just uncalled for.
Yeah,
I think.
Oh yeah, you got that.
Well, I was just gonna say, like, I mean, Wick, I largely agree with you. I don't think most people are celebrating his death, and I think there are a lot of people who fall into the more milquetoast category of like, I didn't agree with what.
When you call someone pure evil, I mean, I didn't call Kirk pure evil, but no, if you say I don't think you should kill someone, I think it's wrong to kill these people, but he's evil or even pure evil, that is not stochastic. Like, what do you take to be stochastic terrorism? If that's stochastic terrorism, then I guess any negative comment about any person in the context of a violent situation is stochastic terror. Like, what is stochastic terrorism? Oh, my bad. We're talking about someone that called leftists pure evil. Oh, my bad. But no, I don't think that calling leftists pure evil is necessarily stochastic terrorism. Like, I would need to know what people mean by stochastic terrorism. And people say, like, that's semantic. I can't assess whether I agree if something is stochastic terrorism unless I know what you mean by it. Like, that's just like it frustrates people, but I literally can't proceed if I don't understand what it is. By the way, let SC have his fun. I'm not going to ban haters at all. I don't really do that. I ban people for TOS stuff, maybe, but even then it's like, I don't like to do it, although I will and do. But I don't ban people because they are generally annoying or because they're haters. So, you know, SC, you are welcome. We believe and we practice free speech in this community.
He had to say, but violence is never the answer. But there's two things about that. One is that some of the people who make that statement, I mean, that's basically how Hassan Piker talks. That's like kind of what Nick Fuentes is saying, right? Like, it's very easy to say, like, well, yeah, no one should be killed. And then you go on to say, like, but this person is an existential threat to your life and to our democracy and to our society. So that's one. I think a lot of people justify even when they.
That's not justifying, Tally. Calling someone like, yeah, this person's Charlie Kirk was a threat to our republic. No doubt. It doesn't justify him being killed at all. I'm not saying that. But it's not incorrect. Like, it's a true statement to say that Charlie Kirk is a threat to our republic. That is a true statement. He tried to overturn a free and fair election. He was giving cover to Trump, who is making a mockery of our republic. So yeah, I mean, that's perfectly fine to say. That's not justifying his murder.
Condemn explicitly, you know, the murder and the violence. So we saw a lot of this after the Luigi Mangione shooting and after the embassy shooting, where people they condemn the violence, but, you know, it's the big giant buts. And so are those people necessarily?
Did I call Kirk a fascist? Yes, and I continue to do so. I thought he was a fascist and think he was. What about that statement implies I want him to be killed? I don't.
Really, like, is that stochastic terrorism? Are they like firing the flames? I don't know, not necessarily, but there's something very grim and ugly about it. And the second thing is, like, the bizarre. Melissa Chen made a post about this, and I can't remember her exact words, and she was much more eloquent than I'm about to be. But the need that people feel to throat clear with, like, well, I didn't agree with everything that he says, but no one should be killed for sharing their ideas. Like, so when you feel the need to put that in, I didn't agree with him thing, it's like, so you're just coming out and saying that murder is bad. Like, wow, brave. Like,
what do you want, Tolly? Do you want us to come out and say he was good? You want us to come out and say that he was good? Yeah, murder is wrong. Assassination is wrong. That's reprehensible. But we don't agree with him. So don't take this as us lionizing him. Do you not want us to clarify what we mean? When, for example, we don't go to the vigil? Because clearly you need and you want the condemnation. I think that it's good to condemn the assassination. 100% I do. So that is what people want, to say murder bad. But you're acting like all you should say is murder bad. You shouldn't say anything else. Like, why? Do we ever hold anyone to that standard after someone's killed? We have debates about, like, when Osama is killed, when George Floyd was killed, when all these different people are killed, the killings of the individuals with the Kyle Rittenhouse. Was it justified? Was it not justified? It has never been the case that, oh, just say murder bad, just say killing bad, just say crime bad, just say self-defense good, and leave it at that. Don't have any other inquiry. That's so stupid.
You take away from the power of the condemnation when you feel the need to.
No, you don't. You give more power to it. I did not like him. I thought that he was negative. But even though I thought he was a fascist, even though you should not use political violence in this way. You don't take the power away from the condemnation. That's bullshit. There's no argument there. Rest in peace, Kobe.
To put so many asterisks.
I agree and I disagree, and I don't want to hog the conversation. I want to let you guys get your words into, but just real quick, I do think that there is a power in saying I didn't.
SC, there is a certain amount of money what you could give me that I would transfer some of the money to Andrew Wilson. Yeah, so I say out of sheer principle, that principle has a threshold of a certain amount of money for sure, and that threshold is $8,000. If you pay me $8,000, I will pay out of that $500 to Andrew Wilson, and we'll do the debate.
Like this man, I agreed with him on nothing, but the only thing we did agree on is that no one should be harmed for their speech. I think that showcases that even if you dislike someone, you're willing to stand up for their beliefs and stand up for them. I don't necessarily think that's throat clearing. I think that's planting a firm flag and saying, yeah, red team, blue team, doesn't matter. On this, we will defend you no matter what you say, right? You will never face violence from us. Right?
That would.
By the way, SC, I'll also do the debate for free. It's Andrew Wilson who won't do the debate for free. Andrew Wilson is the one saying I have to spend thousands of my own money to debate him. I'm saying no strings. Let's just have the debate. But I'm not going to pay him my money unless you reach a threshold of you giving me money of $8,000, and then I will give some of that money to Andrew Wilson. But the threshold for that is $8,000. $8,000 to get me to pay $500. Got it? But I'm also totally willing to do it with no strings attached for free. It's him who's unwilling to do that.
Probably be a better way to say it. And again, I do sort of agree with you. And there was someone else who respectfully challenged what Melissa was saying and made a similar point that actually it's an even stronger statement, right? When you can say that you should, that I condemn this even for my, political enemies or something like this. But I don't know. A lot of people, it actually feels like a virtue signal. I think is actually what it is. A lot of times, like, you can't be seen condemning it if you
What's the virtue signal, Tali? Is the virtue signal that murder bad? This is what this conversation is so fucked, because these terms, like, I'm not even understanding what you mean by the term, the virtue signal term. Murder bad, assassination bad, you shouldn't murder, as I understand it, is literally, by like the textbook definition, a virtue signal. So is virtue signaling wrong? Holy crap. Okay, I'm going to need to have maybe I'll have to make a video about why the debate with Andrew Wilson hasn't happened. It's because he has refused to debate me. That's why the debate doesn't happen. He says no debate until I pay him $1,000. I'm not going to do that.
don't also condemn him. I guess that's what's frustrating. And I see this as someone who liked Charlie Kirk. I was a fan of his, and when you're a fan of someone, you develop.
You were a fan of Charlie Kirk? Wait, so what was this whole, why are you a fan of Charlie Kirk? If you're trying to pretend that you care about the left and the left abandon you, you're a fan of Charlie Kirk is it because of Israel? Is it because of trans stuff?
Like a parasocial relationship. And that's not even on the table in a lot of liberal, not that I expect liberals to like Charlie Kirk, but it does feel like it's a virtue signal to be well, yes, of course, I think he's a bad guy, I think he's a really bad person with terrible beliefs. And if I say all that, then am I allowed to say that the violence is not acceptable? It does feel like a little bit of that is going on.
I don't think that that's going on at all. Well, maybe for some people, but I think in general, people are saying what they honestly feel. Even in the celebration context, right? They honestly feel happy that he's dead. I disavow that, but in the context of people saying, yeah, I don't think he's a good dude, I think that they're genuine about that. Absolutely, I think they're genuine about that. I don't think that they're not genuine about that. By the way, as I said now multiple times, there were organizations that were trying to schedule a live in-person debate with me and Andrew. Andrew refused because I wouldn't give him thousands of dollars. This is all documented. So if you want a debate, talk to Andrew. He's the one putting conditions of thousands of my personal dollars.
And again, I think it's so easy to say murder is wrong.
And that's what you want, isn't it, Tali? If it's so easy to say murder is wrong, I agree it's easy to say that. I think you should say that if you're an online commentator, so that in this moment of heightened tension, I don't think that you shouldn't say murder is wrong, but you're acting as though that isn't that when people say that, it's either A, in bad faith, or if it's coupled with some other statement about Charlie Kirk, it reflects on their insincerity overall. And I just I don't even understand the point you're making, Tali.
I don't know. I don't know how many cookies people should receive for that, but I don't want people to escalate the rhetoric. So
I think this, when it comes to the whole, like, I didn't agree with him, but he shouldn't be killed. I think there's two very clear connotations. There's the one that you're talking about, Wick, which is I don't know if you ever saw the episode of Futurama, with the guy's like, I don't agree with you, but I'll defend your right to say it to the death. And he's like, wave the American flag.
Right?
Yes, right. Like, so there's that connotation, which I think that connotation would be very, that's like a very good connotation if someone has it in that fashion. Now, I've seen some people say it like that. I think I've seen most people say it in the other fashion, the other connotation, the connotation that Tali's talking about, where to me, it comes off as like a defense mechanism of a signal to say to people on the left, look, I'm like, don't attack me. Don't attack me. I think that he was, a bad man who had bad opinions too, but I don't think he should be killed. It does.
So which is it, right? Like, you're saying it's a virtue signal to say murder is bad as a virtue signal to the right, but saying Charlie Kirk is bad person as well as a virtue signal to the left? Okay, maybe that's what's motivating most people, but have you ever considered such that, like, we just don't like Charlie Kirk? We never liked Charlie Kirk. Charlie Kirk was our political enemy. Charlie Kirk was, like, I understand that all you think about is clout and you being fucking attacked by your audience and this audience whole, like, talking shit thing, but maybe liberals and left-wing people just, like, didn't like Charlie Kirk.
Like that, like, which to me is very interesting that it shows that so many people need, or they feel compelled to throw that out there, to like be afraid of getting attacked by their own team in that way. And I don't know if you saw.
So you're telling me, right? You're watching the conversation on Twitter, online, on social media. You're seeing a huge movement of right-wing industrial cancelers going after people's jobs, outing other individuals, trying to get them fired, trying to get this mob mentality, this witch hunt. And you're saying, I think the people who say they don't like Charlie Kirk, but he shouldn't have been killed, they're scared of the left. That's the conclusion you draw, Sitch? I don't know. I feel like more people would be concerned with the right, who's currently trying to use the trappings of the state to go after political enemies, who's currently trying to use this cancel culture mob mentality to get people fired. I don't know, just a thought. By the way, a lot of these leftists who hate Dems anyway, and that's your point anyway. So
because Harry Sisson, I'm saying his name right?
No, I think so.
I think it was Dean Withers, not Harry. If you're about to,
a few of them said.
Oh, I'm sorry, Dean Withers. Yeah, you're right. Dean Withers had that. He has.
Thank you for super chat. Why don't all these people want to make it clear that they don't hate MLK, think civil rights was a mistake, or black women lack brain power, etc.? Why do people insist on stating their disagreement? Like, why shouldn't they? Right? Like, thank you for super chat. I totally agree. Like, why should we not reflect on what this person stood for? I mean, we do this after everyone's death. By the way, folks, not that it matters, but I see some tweets. Maybe there's the influence of the Groypers that are saying, in response to me saying cancel culture shit, someone said, cry Jew. I'm not Jewish. Just, not that it matters, but I just want to make clear. I'm not Jewish.
Very, very, very strongly against the, Charlie Kirk being killed. Yeah. And then, there's that clip going around where he was, being berated, I think, by a black woman. Yeah, through a struggle session here. And that's so many people's, I think, on the left's experience is that. I even was listening to Some More News was kind of covering it, and it was fascinating because there was a person on Some More News is very left-wing. I think they're practically socialist. And they even had some guest speaker on who was talking about how oftentimes it's not the commentator that radicalizes people, it's the comment section. And the comment sections will generally be far more extreme. And sometimes you don't even know if they're bots or foreign actors or whatever. And it was interesting because they were talking about, I mean, obviously they did not like Charlie Kirk and they're going to throw in the whole thing that he's had horrible views, but then also throwing in the whole, like, it was completely horrible and they'll watch him, get shot. And, the woman was talking about, she was like crying about this and how horrible it was and et cetera, et cetera. So then I go look at their comment section and a lot of the comments are like, he deserves to die and like all the worst shit fucking ever. And it's just, this is where I think the rubber meets the road here is there's a lot of people on the left who are.
Because Hispanic, he can't be a Jew. That's also not true. There are Jewish Hispanics. What are you talking about? Now, I'm not religious, but I was born and baptized into the Catholic Church, but I'm not religious.
Are saying that this is horrible, and that's fantastic. That's great. This is horrible. But if the next day comes or the next week comes and everything goes back to business as usual, then I'm not going to take their thought process or their comments about this seriously. There needs to be an actual wake-up call. And I do think, even though the right is saying some very unhinged shit too right now, I do think it has to start with...
The president of Mexico is Jewish. I can't handle the haters today are on another one, man. There's like some Andrew Wilson dick riders who got BTFO. There's people saying Hispanics can't be Jewish. Wild time on the internet. Very funny. Dave Packman, true as well.
The left at the moment, because I think the left is a lot more in the bubble of not understanding that their views are fucking horrible, is there needs to be this sort of, okay, we need to very strongly signal to our audience that political violence is not acceptable, that this level of hatred and vitriol is not acceptable. We're all Americans at the end of the day, and we believe in democracy and voting and solving our problems through not violence.
I think a lot of these people have already been indoctrinated, though. So I'm very black-pilled about this. I don't think a bunch of influencers are going to come in and change the audience that they've created, because it's the confirmation bias is a bitch. It's just going to...
What the fuck are you talking? So it's all projection. You guys are audience captured. You guys have this fucking Trump-aligned audience that you always try to cater to. What the fuck are you talking about?
Kick in. It's going to be like, well, you've been telling us for 100 years that conservatism is synonymous with fascism. What changed? Like, this changed overnight? No, they're not.
No. So this is the logic of fucking Adam. Adam goes, nothing changed overnight. These people you called fascist, why are they no longer fascist? But aren't you criticizing them for saying that they still think that they're fascists, right? You understand? It's like, on the one hand, he's pretending that people have changed their opinion, but they haven't. They're stating their opinion that they're sad that he's dead or that he shouldn't be killed, but they don't agree with him politically or that he was a fascist. So they haven't changed. You're criticizing them for stating their position, but also making this presumption that they have purported to change their view on Charlie Kirk, which I think most people haven't. And that's what people are so mad about, is that you would say the truth about how you feel about Charlie Kirk.
They're not going to buy that. They're totally not going to buy that. They're going to move on to other content creators.
100 years of being called a fascist too. I was like, I love that too.
We're going to give them what they want. The belief that they were told the first time they encountered online politics on the internet, which is so super sad. Yeah.
I think
this is why the retraction never makes any waves, because it's confirmation bias. Confirmation bias kicks in.
What retraction?
Somebody hears something for the first time and it's stuck. It's stuck in their minds.
There's a couple things. I do want to respond to what you just said, Adam, and I also want to respond to Sitch's talk here. And it's interesting to me. It's a little ironic. Friday,
Mossad funding me. Mossad is funding me because I say there are such things as Hispanic Jewish people. That shows that Mossad is funding me. Okay.
I had Destiny on my show, and I was arguing with him basically, and Tali was there too, right? And we were both arguing like, hey, because Destiny's take was the right has to do it first. Like the Trump and the right, they're the ones that have to tone down the rhetoric first, and we're not going to do it unless they do it. And I fought back against that because I don't think that's right. But also, I don't know if the left has to do it first either. Like when both sides are saying, well, the other has to do it first, I don't think that's helpful, and I don't think that's going to get us anywhere because neither side's going to do it, right? What we can do, though, and what I advocate for is I can do it within my community, right? And I can do it within the people around me. And I don't have to wait for the other side. I don't have to wait for anyone else to do it, right? And if my audience doesn't like that, which some haven't, right? They can leave. They can go elsewhere. Okay, we got to be willing to take that hit. Because to Adam's point about a lot of people will just go with a confirmation bias, and if the influencer they're listening to doesn't agree with them, they will move on to another influencer. That will happen as well. But maybe I'm just naive, but I don't think that's going to be all of them. And I don't think we have to get rid of this entirely. We can just tone it down even by 30, 50%, and that's good, right? That's a good thing to do. Does that make sense?
Wick, a huge portion of the left believes that conservatism is synonymous with fascism, okay? What?
No. That MAGA is a fascist movement. I think largely it is. But that conservative, that's way too broad.
What is the equivalent meme on the right that's just as toxic as that for society?
To kill you.
Now, how many people on the right do you think believe the left are coming to kill you? And what is
more today
what is like
than was a few days ago, right?
What is the manifestation of that meme? Can you give examples of it? I mean,
Well,
I
yeah,
could pull up 1,000 examples from CNN of commentators saying Trump praised neo-Nazis, which I think is the ultimate expression of conservatism being synonymous with fascism. What is the equivalent of that on the right? Look, and I'll give you an example.
Well, the left is a bunch of communist perverts who are coming to take your guns, your kids, and your property.
Okay.
That's pretty standard in different variations on the right.
Oh,
and
okay.
I think so. I do think
what the meme is.
Where I feel frustrated as a centrist, I don't whatever to label myself, is like both sides truly believe that their side has been the calm, nonviolent one, and that the other side poses an existential threat to their well-being. Both of the sides who are as sort of like bought in firmly believe this. So like that's, and I guess like my frustration is, I think the people on the left who are saying like, you know, this rhetoric and political violence, this is obviously a right-wing problem. Those people they're wrong. Some of them are lying, right? But they're wrong and they're stuck in their own little bubbles. But people on the right are saying the exact same thing. Like, to me, there's obviously, now arguably, you could argue that the left has been sort of more radicalized. And so like the threat of fascism, maybe they are more likely to engage with the threat of fascism with violence than the right is to engage with the threat of communism or transgenderism with violence. But I think an honest assessment is that both sides do frame the other side as like trying to ruin our country, trying to take away from the life that you enjoy.
Both sides, TM.
Well, I would want to see the numbers on how many people have been indoctrinated with that meme that you're talking about.
The numbers on that meme. How do we get the numbers on that meme? I mean, you're happy to make these kinds of wild statements, Adam, and such, without any evidence in terms of your prior.
I would think if we look at the actual numbers, I would think the indoctrination levels of young people thinking that the left is. What was your meme?
The left is all communist.
They're coming to take your
kids, your guns, and
your property.
Right.
Your property. Yeah.
Maybe to trans your kids. I see that meme around occasionally. I don't know how big a buy-in is.
Occasionally, I see transing the kids occasionally. Says Adam. The left wants to trans your kids. He says, occasionally I see something like that.
I don't know if Fox News is out there actively promoting that the left wants to trans your kids. I mean, maybe.
I don't know if Fox News is... bro, how are you even saying these words?
They are.
I actually kind of think, and again, well, I don't have numbers to back any of this up.
I'm just curious real quick, where would we find the numbers on this? Like, I just don't know if there is like a...
Well, there was a poll talking about, and I was looking for it, but I couldn't find it, where they were talking about how Gen Z thinks political violence is okay.
Yeah, that violence is an appropriate response to preventing speech that you disagree with.
Look, I think you can make a cogent argument that political violence is a correct response to fascism, to actual fascism.
Well, it would also be the correct response to someone to taking your property too, right? Like there are incidents.
In which case, was Trump advocating for violence when he called the Democrats fascist? They never contend with this, that Trump and his acolytes call Democrats fascist all the time. They never contend with that. Oh, calling someone a fascist is a call for violence? Absolutely absurd.
Exactly.
Where violence is okay, right? There's incidences where violence is justified even.
My argument is classifying bog standard conservatism as fascism. I think that's where the problem is coming in.
Time to make more money than all of you at the same. I love this, by the way. These guys are so insecure. I have more money than you. I'm gonna go make more money. I'm online. I'm fucking glazing Andrew Wilson in the chat. I make more money. I'm gonna go make more money. So fucking insecure, bro. Go to therapy.
I see constantly. I see so many people that just believe conservative means fascist. It's a fascist ideology, and I see what you're talking about, Tally, to some extent, but I don't see it as widespread. I don't see just a constant flow of this. Everyone on the left is a communist baby killer.
I hear you, and maybe it's not exactly one-to-one. I just think it's pretty abundant.
Do you think Charlie Kirk made that argument that everyone on the left is a communist baby killer?
No, I think
I mean, they a lot of people do. What's your Dunkin' order? 1 milk, 1 sugar, cold brew. 1 milk, 1 sugar. Cold brew, 1 milk, 1 sugar. Sometimes we'll have a wake up wrap. Sometimes we'll have a little bit of a donut. But the go-to is 1 cold brew, 1 milk, 1 sugar.
To steal your money and
no, definitely not. I think well, so no, absolutely, I do not think that at all. People can clip lots of things that Charlie Kirk has said, right, or lots of one-off statements or punchy responses to try to make it sound like that. But no, he spoke with a lot of nuance, and he was someone who spoke all the time. So we got to hear really like
the Charlie Kirk equivalent on the left constantly says that conservatism is synonymous with fascism. Like Destiny will say that.
They don't. They say MAGA. They say Trump. In fact, they go out of their way to say the never Trump Republicans and the conservatives. Why can't we go back to those old conservatives? This is just untrue. And he knows it. He's playing fast and loose here.
Hassan will say that. They constantly say this
stuff. Just real quick, like Kirk isn't the only influencer on the right, and I can point to a lot of people, especially if you just take influencers, right, on the right side, who are absolutely convinced 100% that the left is going to destroy them, right? And they are in an existential battle between good.
We criticize
and evil.
those, yes.
Yeah,
Elijah Schaefer, I think, is one, but he's not on the same level as Charlie Kirk. He's not on the same level as Hassan.
Yeah, but there's
because I don't think that message. So you're saying there's a lot of them, but they're smaller. Who are they?
Oh God,
your argument is in aggregate they have the numbers of Hassan or
I don't know if they have the numbers.
I
don't know if they're a 1-to-1 equal, because you could be right.
I'm trying to figure out how many people are indoctrinated with this toxic fucking meme that the other side is irredeemable.
My issue. Hold on, just real quick. My issue with your framing.
You don't know shit though, right? Like, why are you making assumptions, Adam? If you don't know, feels like you should maybe shut the fuck up. If you don't have a fucking clue.
Here, Adam, is that while I agree with you 100%, the people who are conflating all of conservatism, bog standard stuff, with fascism is a problem. I would contend it is not the problem. The problem is the constant reciprocal radicalization that is happening in this country, where both sides are using the extreme actions of the other sides and the extreme beliefs of the other side.
See, I think this is cucked framing from Wick. I think Wick could just be like, yes, there's some crazy lefties, but look at the mainstream figures on the right and what their actions are versus the mainstream figures on the left. Yes, there's some people within the left sphere who are celebrating, and that's a shame, but like, look at the mainstream figures on the right. So I don't even like this cuck framing.
To justify radicalizing further and going further with their own stuff. And I think that this is a perfect example of this happening in real time, that a lot of people on the right, I see more and more and more, are
all right. I mean, he's kind of getting there.
Justifying,
but whenever I hear both sides, I mean, even if your point is like ultimately that the right wing mainstream figures, they're the ones who are the humongous problem right now. When I hear both sides, immediately I'm like, I guess that's just my inherently violent leftist nature.
Okay, we tried peace. Now let's go to war. And it's not all of them. I'm not saying it's all of them.
The numbers matter, though. Like, if one strategy is effective and the other strategy is not effective, obviously there are bad elements on the right that want to turn every single conservative into a white supremacist, right? I don't think they're being effective. I don't think they're working.
I think there are. They were a week ago.
Okay, yeah, maybe now that Charlie Kirk has been assassinated. But I think on the left, there are elements that want to paint every single right-winger as a fascist. Yeah,
I think some people are dealing with Ezra Klein's critique in a unfair way, but in general, I think that his words are unhinged in that respect. Some people, I think, aren't taking his argument head on, which is basically, it's a kind of simple point, as I understand it, which is like, he didn't try to do something illegal. He didn't try to do something like, so I understand, but it's just insane to say that he was doing politics the right way generally. It's way too broad of a statement and prescription. That's like unhinged, in my opinion.
Want to make every single left-winger a radical. And I think that strategy is working. And I think the fallout from the Charlie Kirk assassination is just like in my face how well it has worked. These people, they live in a completely different reality. They think we're in the midst of World War II here, and that Charlie Kirk is the second coming of Hitler, and he just got killed.
but there again,
To be fair, though,
I know you have to go, so go ahead, Holly. So
yeah,
go ahead.
Well, no, I was just gonna say, like, I think like the left is kind of predisposed to this. So again, like, I think, Adam, I really do think that there is like kind of a lot of this type of rhetoric, not calls for violence, but just like framing the opposition as evil and maniacal. I think a lot of that does come from the alt-right media space or the alt media space on the right.
Elon Musk is the guy with billions of dollars who is willing to put billions of dollars into our social media where all this is spreading. He's telling people you need to fight or you will die, right? The left will kill you. He's saying that, and he said that in several tweets recently. I don't know.
So interestingly, wait, so on that point, this is back to what I was saying before. Also,
Oh my God. Oh my God. Wait, I just got the most unhinged fucking tweet. The most unhinged tweet I made. Hang on one sec. This is crazy. I can't believe someone just tweeted this at me. Absolutely deranged. Read this shit. One sec. So I said, MAGA ascribes collective punishment to Dems for Kirk's death. You killed the negotiator. They think if you're a Dem, you're complicit in murder. Thank you so much from the South Side with the huge super chat. $20. Thank you for being a base First Amendment supporter and calling out the right-wing garbage. Yeah, no problem. Always will do it. Thank you from the South Side. Appreciate you. So I say, they think if you're a Dem, you're complicit for murder. In addition to industrial cancel culture, now they want to withhold federal funds for schools that aren't sufficiently mourning. Look at this guy. You have no moral high ground, Pisco. You either excuse or outright defend left-wing violence and or corruption. May 29th insurrection, Jamal Bowman fire alarm, illegal FISA warrants, just to name a few. So just to be clear, I called for Jamal Bowman to be prosecuted for the fire alarm situation. I condemned the FISA warrant process during the investigation into Carter Page. Carter Page, who's a water boy for the first Trump campaign. And all I've done, I've condemned like starting fires outside of the White House. I've just said that no one was throwing Molotov cocktails on May 29th, and there wasn't an attempt to get into the White House. It was protesters that definitely like set fire to like a little shack or something, but it wasn't like a guard station. So I've just been like dealing with the false narrative that Rob Noor has presented on the May 29th insurrection when there was no attempt by the protesters outside the White House to like get in to the White House grounds and they haven't used Molotov cocktails. But that's not me like saying it's good that they burned something in the park or that it's good that they like defaced parts of the public buildings. So on all three of these things, I have been critical of the underlying people involved in those things. These are all like favorite talking points of Rob Noor. And their examples of left-wing violence are FISA warrants and fire alarm and insurrection. None of these involved like actual harm or death. Right. None of these involved death, just to be clear. None of these involved. But the things that came to his mind were spying, right? This illegal spying, so also alleged, pulling a fire alarm, and like burning something outside of the White House during the height of the Black Lives Matter protests. That's their examples of what I made excuses for. This is your brain on Rob Noor. Absolutely unhinged.
Sides think that they're in self-defense right now. So that's what Elon Musk is saying, right? Like if you don't fight now, they're literally going to kill you. And when we were talking to Destiny on that panel the other night, he views it essentially as the same way. Like they're coming for us. We can't just lay down our arms. Destiny literally said our options are to like fight back tit for tat or to be exterminated. And then when I watched his stream, his first iteration of it, he was calling it
your side pulled the fire alarm. You have blood on your hands, Pisco. It was you who pulled the fire alarm. It's so unhinged.
Genocide. So and he's like he's not far left wing really, Destiny. So this is common on the left though. I mean, I even think back, just to like RBG when Ruth Bader Ginsburg died. Before her body was in the ground, leftists were coming out saying, we're not going to whitewash the racist ass history of, this woman. I remember that very clearly while I was mourning the death of Ruth Bader Ginsburg. People saying, well, she was racist towards Native Americans and she voted this way and did this thing. And so the left's like, there's a segment of the left at least who really like finds joy in this, and it's their natural inclination, kind of no matter whether the person's on the left or the right. Like their natural inclination is to purity spiral, basically, about everyone. So I don't think it's like even, it's not, I guess that's another thing too, is like, it really is worth making distinctions, because the people like Hassan Piker et al., again, they would say a lot of the same things that they're saying about Charlie Kirk about like bog standard liberals. In one of the many freaking articles and interviews that
Hassan didn't celebrate that Kirk died. Didn't Hassan, wasn't he like outraged and shocked in his initial reaction? I seem to recall like a clip of him being like, holy fuck. Did he celebrate? He celebrated? Do you have evidence that he celebrated? There's a clip that he celebrated? He did not celebrate at all? Yeah, Pisco? Like, not at all. Yeah, I mean, he didn't celebrate, did he? Talia already said that criticizing Kirk undercuts the condemnation. Oh, okay. So I guess by that standard, I also celebrated, right? Like by saying that I was critical of Charlie Kirk and saying that I didn't think that he was a good person. You know, a couple days after, I guess I was also celebrating.
Hassan has been doing in the last few days, because for some reason Charlie Kirk dies and everyone wants to talk to Hassan Piker about it. But in one of the many interviews, he was saying, you know, like, it's the liberals who cozy up to Kirk, basically. The liberals didn't see Kirk as a threat to their way of life. So like the people on the left who are being super callous at the death of Charlie Kirk, and they would do the same for the death of
Biden,
Josh Shapiro. Yeah. Or Destiny, even, frankly, which is kind of the irony of Destiny taking this.
Oh, no doubt. Oh, no doubt. But they'll just say it's fair play because of this or that. But it wouldn't even have to be Destiny. It could be someone like Krasenstein. It could be any one of the. It could be Harry Sisson, and they'd be doing memes. They wouldn't give a fuck. Like, let's just be real. And you guys tell me if you agree or not. If Dean Withers, who like cried after and was criticized for like crying that Kirk died, if something horrible happened to him, they had no problem like doing memes about it, laughing about it, basically saying that. Dean Withers, you know, brought it on himself because probably some crazy lefty who killed him anyway. You know what I'm talking about? I just don't think that this amount of reverence is absolutely tailored to their love for Kirk. It's not a principled position in like against political assassination. It's more having to do with like, yeah, Kirk was a big figure for them.
This approach.
So people are going to make the calls. I don't think pointing to people making the calls is relevant, because it's the number of people who take up the call that is the relevant thing. Scott Adams said the same exact thing Elon Musk is saying now before the election, that if the Democrats won, Republicans were going to be hunted. Okay. This was before the 2020 election. When Biden won, no one was ever hunted. People laughed it off. Nobody ever took up the call. Obviously, Elon is making up for lost time here because of the situation. Maybe people do take up Elon's call now. Elon wasn't making this call 2 years ago, 5 years ago. So I just, in my sense of this whole situation is the left is eager to take up the call. There are people on the right that are eager to take up the call. I don't think they have the numbers. I don't think they have the numbers.
I think that to echo
based
my co-host
on what?
here,
Based on what? Like, you were the one, Adam, on January 6th, who, thank you so much for the super chat. Quote, centrists just don't like modern leftist thought, and they'd rather vote for a piss-gargling kid diddler out of spite politics not based. Thank you for the super chat. You're the one who said that Trump got his crowd to be violent based on a pack of lies. That was your statement, that he was able to rile up his base to be violent on January 6th. And so what is your basis for saying that they don't have the numbers? If they were able to do it before, again, that's not me saying it. That's Adam saying it. Remember, I'm not saying that. Adam is saying that. Adam said that this was all riled up by Trump on a pack of lies and that he targeted them through a physical, violent coup. That's what Adam characterized it as. That's why he blocked me, is because I brought attention to that fact. So given that reality, where are you getting this notion that they don't have the numbers to be violent? Where's that coming from? Again, Adam's notion of what occurred.
I think you're painting with way too broad a brush. I think the far left, I'll give you. On the far, like the tanky left, the illiberal left, I like to call them, I might even grant you that. But when people say the left, they're including me and liberals and just bog standard Democrats.
Not me. Sorry, no, but I agree with him.
Which I think is the majority of the Democratic Party.
True, I agree with this.
And I don't think I don't see that within my cohort. I don't see it at all. And I know maybe I'm in a bubble.
I see the callousness. in the rank and file Democrats.
Callousness is different.
Callousness? We didn't like Charlie Kirk. Sorry. We're not going to start liking him and paying homage to him and going to vigils for him if we don't think that his is a, legacy worth celebrating. Because we don't feel that way. It would be like insulting, right? You probably wouldn't even want Democrats there to honor his legacy. Now, we can join United for sure to condemn this kind of violence, but that's not what you're hearing from the right. What you're hearing is, you guys all decided that you wanted to get together and kill our best friend. You all got together and you made that choice as a unit, as a team. You all had this decision. And you killed the moderate. You killed the negotiator. And now you're going to pay. You're not going to like what happens next. That's what they're saying. Everyone in this stream has seen endless amounts of that. Not let's tone down. Not, we all need to be Americans, fellow Americans. It's you killed the negotiator. Are you scared yet? That's what you're seeing. If you're in this chat, you can't deny it. That is everywhere. And that is the major figures on the right and in MAGA circles. Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me I'm wrong that your favorite MAGA influencer didn't say, you killed the negotiator. You did. All the Democrats are responsible. By calling us fascists, you're culpable. And now, we tried to talk to you. Talking's over. Tell me I'm wrong. And that has not been the prevailing sentiment. No more Mr. Nice Guy. Not anymore. He was just trying to talk to you guys and you killed him. Bitch, I didn't kill him. I condemn his assassination. It shouldn't have happened. It's disgusting. Deplorable. I didn't kill him. Fellow Democrats, we didn't kill him. Hell, I wanted to if you're talking about me personally, I wanted to debate him. I was looking for ways. I was going to ask, is there a chance that I could debate Charlie Kirk? Because I do think that those kinds of conversations, right? When I was criticizing Cenk Uygur for his appearance with Charlie Kirk, which I did do, it wasn't because I think you should never interact with Charlie Kirk. It's because I thought he was giving Charlie Kirk too much pats on the back in terms of this is a revolution well done. But I always envisioned that Charlie Kirk would be someone to have this political war with. And that the way to beat Charlie Kirk was to win elections. I never wanted him to die. So miss me with that you're responsible. You killed the negotiator. Jesus Christ. Unhinged. So yeah, I'm totally happy to unify on the notion that we should not be escalating to political violence. I'm not going to unify on the notion that Charlie Kirk's legacy is one that is worthwhile. That is one that is honorable. I don't believe that. I don't feel it.
I think it's still
it's
not
concern,
good.
though. I saw the callousness of rank and file Democrats after the Luigi Mangione shooting. And again, that actually really shocked me. I was shocked at how many normal people that I know who really aren't far left crazies, normal kind of liberals, whatever, who were
yeah, but
we really do have a problem with healthcare in this country. Just instantly going to justify it. So I get so I don't know. I agree with everyone here. I'm super black pilled. I don't know where the
take a side tally. Okay,
I can't. I can't. Yeah.
But I guess I disagree with Destiny's advocacy and what he wants to do, but he does have a point when he says that there are a lot of people in power.
We don't even know if the guy who did it was a Dem. I mean, we still don't know, right? We're in the middle of an investigation. Apparently there was a transgender roommate / boyfriend or something. And that person, we don't know the true nature of that relationship. That's still being sussed out. But if we are to believe that person was the person who reported one of the people who reported to the FBI this lead. And Governor Cox came out and says, this person was not in cahoots with the killer. This person did the right thing. And yet that's not being seen as like, oh, look, potentially this trans person did the right thing. When it was harder, right? When it's your friend or your roommate or your boyfriend or whatever it was. But we don't even fully know the scope of what was the motivations. Like, that's still being sussed out. But even if it turns out, by the way, that this guy is like a bog standard Biden voter and he's like radicalized by resistance libs, it doesn't matter. Why? Because they called the left guilty before that information was in. Before we even had the name of a suspect, they were like, so the evidence doesn't actually matter. They don't actually care.
Or in positions of governmental power on the right who do see us, and influence on the right, who do see this as a war and want us to fight and want the right to take up arms. How effective that's going to be, I don't know if it's even helpful to play, well, the Democrats do it more, the Republicans do it more. Oh, we could play that game. I don't think we should, though. I think we should just condemn it whenever it happens and whoever happens to say it by turning it into this like game that we play, right? That you see people playing with anytime some sort of tragedy or a horrific event happens, people are always going to try to turn it into a weapon against their political enemies. I find that gross. I find that disgusting. I don't like it when the right wing does it. I don't like it when the left wing does it. Everyone's like, well, look, it was a white man that killed blah, blah, blah. Or look, it was a Republican that did X, Y, Z. It doesn't matter. Because not all Republicans are bloodthirsty animals. Not all Democrats are bloodthirsty animals.
What is with boomers like Josiah and this like crayon meme? You guys ever know that lay Reddit meme? It's like, I don't have the time or the crayons to explain this to you. What is it with like boomers and like, oh, use crayons to insult? That is like the most lay epic. Lay Reddit, gentle sir.
The only person responsible at the end of the day for the killing of Charlie Kirk was the guy who pulled the trigger and trying to say the left.
I completely disagree.
I completely disagree. Okay, let's hear from Adam.
I completely disagree.
How?
I mean, if that guy believed half of the insane lies I'm seeing about Charlie Kirk on the internet now, then I don't know how you can say it was just simply him. Like
so you blame MAGA obviously for the killing of Representative Portman, right? X Natural Phenomenon. Thank you so much for the super chat. These are really funny jokes that you play on me when you donate to me. It gives me a lot of, benefit because you're basically playing a prank on me. They equate being called a fascist with violence because once you identify the fascist, they kind of lose. Obscuring their fascism is a survival tactic. Agree. So obviously you're going to apply this standard even handily, Adam, right? So anytime there's an ideological shooting based on an ideology, so for example, there have been ideological killings based on abortion, ideological killings based on environmentalism, ideological killings based on Christianity, ideological killings based on Christian nationalism, conservatism, leftism, communism. Anytime there's an ideological attack, you get to blame the people who spread the ideas that causally led to whatever occurred. And obviously that's been a consistent standard that's been applied to every single conservative commentator and every person in the history of this country, to the environmentalist movement, that they're all murderers, all pro-lifers are all murderers. Has Pisco gone into hiding? Yeah, I'm in hiding.
Probably going to come out that the guy believed he was a fascist, that he believes all this insane shit about how Charlie Kirk advocated to lynch trans people. Like, he's probably going to believe that.
Maybe. That is very possible. But again, there's a lot of people who believe that, who also didn't believe that he deserved death because of it. Right? And that's a difference. Because I can believe that someone is a bad person, even a fascist, really. I can believe someone is doing harm to this country. But I would never, ever advocate or believe that they should die because of that. I just don't think that's not within me as a person, right? That's the difference at the end of the day. Because frankly, I disagreed with a lot of what Charlie Kirk said, too. Does that mean I'm celebrating or condoning violence against him? Absolutely not. And I think that this kind of conflation of, well, everyone who shares the same beliefs about Charlie Kirk would kill him, I find incorrect.
That's wild.
I mean, there's just something completely sinister about killing someone.
Yeah, no doubt.
Who is completely innocent of the crimes he's been accused of. So,
I'm sorry. So now you're wading into whether or not Charlie Kirk, in fact, is a fascist. And so, like, you're saying it's even worse to kill someone for being a fascist if they're not a fascist. I guess. I mean, I'm not sure if that's true. I don't know. Do you guys agree with that? So it's even worse that he's being killed for being a fascist, assuming that that's why he's being killed, if he's not actually a fascist. I'm not sure. I don't know about that's not my intuition. Maybe, you know, it's worse to kill someone for being a fascist if they're not a fascist, if it's mistaken. But it's not like, if it is an added like intensifier, it's not a major one, right? Like, do we really add that much extra moral weight to a killing, a malicious assassination, because there's some incorrect notion embedded into why they killed them? That like adds majorly to whether something is wrong in terms of assassination. I just don't understand why that is like adding this intent, maybe marginally, I guess, but I just don't have that intuition that it becomes way worse if there's some kind of embedded mistaken notion in the assassinate. I feel like the majority of our condemnation has to do with that malicious mindset to kill a person based on their view, not based on whether the view is accurate or not. I don't know. I find that like is not intuitive to me.
I understand what you're saying, that we should foster a culture where anybody can do anything within the bounds of the law and they don't deserve a death sentence.
Absolutely.
But just not grappling with a culture that completely demonizes a person unfairly, the same way that Jordan.
So now we're getting into whether it was an unfair demonization of him. I don't think it's unfair. So it's unfair to say that Charlie Kirk was an extremist, a MAGA extremist, and a propagandist shill for a fascist regime. I don't think that that's unfair at all. I think it's exceedingly fair. So if you want to get into the weeds and be like, oh, but this is different because the characterization was unfair. Like, okay, that makes the killing that much better. Or who the fuck cares? The killing is wrong. And all this other shit is a way to embed your grievances, Adam, into this conversation so as to make the left worse. The left is worse because when they do political assassinations, they're wrong about the underlying fact of the matter. And of course, being wrong about the underlying fact of the matter when you kill makes it so much worse. Like, this is fucking stupid sophistry.
Peterson has been demonized the same way that Ben Shapiro has been demonized.
The same way that leftists and Democrats have been demonized. Sometimes absurdly. They call Obama a communist.
I mean, you're just sidestepping the number one issue. The number one issue is
not the killing, not the illegal assassination. It's
that people can systematically demonize people,
systematically demonize people. I can't fathom an American in current year talking about the demonization of individuals and saying that the problem with demonization of individuals is the current like Democratic Party liberal people, the left wing, versus MAGA, whose whole raison d'etre is demonization. A judge has a ruling that goes against Trump and they call them Marxist judges. They start fucking doxing like the daughter of a judge who rules against Trump on an evidentiary matter in his criminal case. They say immigrants are poisoning the blood of our people. They use animal terms to refer to Democrats all the time. All the time. It is laughable. None of you should ever accept this preposterous double standard. Ever. The real problem is the massive demonization. And you know who's leading that? The Democratic, the average Democrat is doing that.
Into something that they are not, to the point where someone is going to pick up a gun and murder them.
Oh my God.
I mean, I just like that.
Well,
if we're talking about, look, I'm going to defend your right to free speech, I think I'm willing to have that conversation about what people are saying. At this point, I'm willing to abandon free speech.
At this point, so this is it, right? You talk about the Second Amendment like, oh yeah, a lot of people got killed by guns and shit, but they're not willing to throw out the Second Amendment. Like, but the minute that there's a killing of Charlie Kirk, oh, free speech goes out the window. Why? Because there's a crazy guy with a gun who did some horrible criminal cowardly act and killed someone? Free speech goes out the window. At this point, who knows about free speech? They're showing you who they are. Every day, these motherfuckers, these false equivalence motherfuckers, show you who they are. At this point, I guess I used to defend free speech, but now that it leads to harmful results, who can say? They are no better than the crazy lefties who are talking about criminalizing hate speech. No better. They have never been in favor of free speech. They don't support the Constitution of the United States. They just want to impose their cultural priors on the rest of society and put you in jail, lock you up if you don't agree with them. That is, by the way, what they're doing to Destiny right now. Everyone knows I had major disagreements and a falling out with Destiny, but what they're trying to do right now is say he should go to jail for expressing an opinion that in no way would fit a category of illegal speech. That's what they want to do right now, is to throw left-wing people in jail because of their First Amendment protected speech. They're showing you their true colors. And it can be massacre after massacre of children in Connecticut, in Texas, endless amounts of bloodshed in this country. And they'll always say what Charlie Kirk said, right? Which is even an understandable position when it comes to liberty, that liberty is costly. Even assuming this person was radicalized by resistance libs, which hasn't been borne out, that unfortunately is the cost. The free speech of this country, First Amendment, is not costless. Charlie Kirk understood that. And by the way, I've been defending him on this notion that he's a massive hypocrite because he was killed saying something that's true, which is that liberty necessitates some amount of cost. That's a true statement. But these people are willing to say, no amount of death will undermine their belief in the Second Amendment. But the minute they can put some really bullshit rationale for how resistance libs and the left is responsible for death in some real way, I thought that words weren't violence. I mean, this was the argument from the leftists on campus saying racism causes this violence. But when it's your tenuous connection, when it's your preposterous causality, now you're willing to throw the First Amendment out of the window. That's all it took. They don't give a fucking shit. They don't give a fucking shit about the Constitution or this country. They never did.
Oh, well, if we're talking about, look, I'm going to defend your right to free speech, I think I'm willing to have that conversation about what people are saying. At this point, I'm like, oh, we're in a completely different world here. It is completely blackpilling because these people have been, look, it is easier to fool a man.
And look at Tolly. Look at Tolly nodding. Tolly, who I'm sure is fine with people being fucking deported because they criticize Israel. They have no problem with authoritarian government. The minute something happens they don't like, they would be, by the way, after 9/11, the ones saying, no, we need the Patriot Act. No, we need all of these intrusions onto your liberty interests. We don't give a shit. Liberty to them means nothing. They are shills and prostitutes for the state and for government authority. And they're nodding, yes, get rid of the First Amendment. Yes, I'm blackpilled on the First Amendment. And all it took was a cowardly assassination. And the principle they say that Charlie Kirk upheld should be thrown out, right? They're the ones who are saying Charlie Kirk embodied this principle of open discourse and free speech, even offensive ideas. And they dishonor the memory that they claim to be upholding by saying that should be thrown out and nodding. Yeah, I am blackpilled. Yes, you're right, Adam. The same people who were lecturing us about cancel culture and the authoritarian left and talking about Jordan Peterson and dangerous ideas and standing Jordan Peterson. The level of hypocrisy is beyond the pale.
He has been fooled, and we are swimming in fools. We have fools up to our eyelids here.
I don't disagree. I just don't.
You don't disagree, Wick? You don't disagree with the notion that First Amendment, I'm getting blackpilled on it?
I don't think that you were looking at it in a way that is balanced, and I understand why, because I don't. I'll just grant you, I have my biases, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And I know that there are certain.
Wait, Buttigieg is going to be rallying against redistricting in California? All right, I'm not going to support Buttigieg in a nomination fight. If this is true, he's going to rally against California redistricting. If true, against Indiana redistricting. Okay, that's fine. Never mind. That's good. If he's going to a red state to fight against it, then that's based.
Issues that I can look at that I'm going to be tilted on, right? I'm going to be stilted on. I'm going to be one way on, and I recognize that I have to work to kind of overcome that to really help me see the other side's
Wick, look at how I'm framing this, okay? There's a number of right-wing radicals out there in the world, okay? An actual number that we could write on a piece of paper. There's an actual number of these NPC, violence loving left-wingers out there, okay? A number that we could write on the paper. What is there to be balanced about? Do you honestly believe that that number is like a 50-50 situation that they're
What the fuck do you know, Adam? In terms of the major commentators, it's not even close. The major MAGA commentators' discourse is totally unhinged compared to the major Democratic commentators. The major Democratic commentators, you can say Destiny, right? Like, he's probably the most unhinged of all of them. Of the major ones, right? Every single politician on MAGA is talking this fucking like, except for Thomas Massey, who is now being fucking canceled for not being crazy enough. Every single one is like, oh yeah, time for war. Oh yeah, they killed the negotiator. They're not ready for what happens next. Every single one.
Cool numbers?
I think that I think that it is, I don't know if it's like exactly 50-50. It might be 60-40 or 55-45, right. But there is a growing cohort on both sides that are thinking that.
No, Hassan didn't celebrate even close to it. Did Hassan joke? I didn't see Hassan jokes. I saw some jokes from Steven. I didn't see jokes from Hassan. And by the way, if we're talking about jokes in the aftermath of tragedies, like, holy shit, what a double standard. What an insane standard.
Extreme action is the answer to this. And I see this because I interact a lot with right-wingers who come into my show. And again, the posts I've made since this,
right? Okay.
Mostly, and I'm sure you get
just like, right? That's obviously not. That's not an obvious. Obviously, that can't be an accurate representation. It's like you're out there looking for right wingers to bring into your panel.
No, you're not. It's the major ones. It's Donald Trump himself. It's all the commentators. Give me a break, dude. This is not, you're the ones who are cherry picker and his like random teacher, random influencer no one's ever heard of, random this person. And yeah, I'm not saying that it's negligible. It's not negligible, the amount of people who are celebrating. I'm not saying it's negligible. And I condemn that. But in terms of the actual power about who among these different various groups, what they're signaling and what their rhetoric has been, it's night and day. It's not even close.
So,
yeah, but what
and your whole panel is structured to be like a 50-50 situation.
I'm not talking just about my panels, though. I'm talking about my viewers. I'm talking about my audience. I'm talking about the people I interact with on Twitter. I'm talking about the people I interact with in my real life.
Look, I don't know. I don't know what the number is either. Okay, so yeah, but I just in that situation, I'm not reaching for this has to be balanced because, for all I know, it's 90% on one side.
But even if it was 90% on the right, I would still condemn it across the board, is what I'm saying. Because I don't think, like, turning it into an issue of right versus left is going to put the people who are on the other side of the issue, who identify as right or identify as left, is going to raise their hackles. They're going to become defensive about it, and it's going to be much harder to fix the problem. But if you make the problem into a neutral one where you aren't attacking the right or the left, but attacking the problem itself, a lot of people on both sides are much more willing to actually do something and change their behavior and to change the scale.
I'm attacking neither right nor left. I think this is a problem with the media. I think the media is the one that is out there gaslighting people. So I think it's more prominent on the left, but it's the same exact problem.
But that's the thing. thing. Like, if I say it's...
Oh, that's so funny. Watch, Rob Noor just retweeted Nick Fuentes. Here, I'm going to show you guys this. This is Rob Noor. So this is what Rob Noor retweeted. Okay. And why don't I go actually to his... I'll show you. One sec. I'll actually go to his profile so you can see that he retweeted it. So this is Rob Noor's profile. I'm about to show it to you. Rob Noor retweeted Nick Fuentes. Quote, Hassan Piker should be banned on Twitch and deported back to Turkey. Because what? So he should be denaturalized for speech. A U.S. citizen, according to Rob Noor, presumably because he retweeted this, I am presuming he supports it because he's retweeting Nick Fuentes, that we should denaturalize people who allegedly celebrate Hassan's assassination. Not Hassan's, Charlie Kirk's assassination. I'm going to repeat that. Rob Noor almost certainly believes that we should denaturalize and deport people who celebrate the death of another human being, in this case, Charlie Kirk assassination. Libertarian, by the way, these are prostitutes of the state. They are government bootlicking shills. They don't give a shit about rights, freedom, the Constitution, none of it. They want to deport you, denaturalize you because you disagree with them. I don't even have a sense of what Hassan said on this issue that is worthy of deportation. What's the thing with respect to this incident that is worthy of denaturalization and deportation? Unhinged. Absolutely unhinged. These fucking losers, babies. I'm going to say it. Babies. Literal babies. They never cared about rights. They never cared about free speech. They tried to appeal to that because they thought that you cared about free speech, and they were trying to appeal to you loyal patriots, right? They were trying to appeal to the loyal patriots among us who actually care about rights, who actually care about this country. But they never did. And now they're calling for criminal sanctions, for denaturalization. They want to deperson you because of your thoughts. Even if you're Hassan, who, by the way, I didn't see celebrating. I saw him horrified and criticizing Charlie Kirk. Fuentes' main issue with Hassan was a glib remark about gun control. Like, that's what we're talking about here? That is the gun control, because someone brings up gun control after a shooting. Libs have done that in time immemorial. Every time there's a shooting, libs are like, this is why we need gun control. That's what's beyond the pale, that he should be fucking denaturalized and deported? It's crazy. Absolutely crazy. I don't give a shit. I will stand by every person's right to celebrate the death of Charlie Kirk. I don't agree with it. I think it's reprehensible. I think it's totally beyond the pale to celebrate his assassination. But no one should be punished from the government with an official sanction from the government. If you lose your job and it's a private employer, sucks for you. We also have a right of free association. And so, if you're a non-public employee, sorry. But in terms of the right to be free from government intrusion, you absolutely have that right. And no one should be calling on you because of how offensive your speech is to be deported or denaturalized. Unhinged.
I think it's more problem on the right. People on the right are going to take that as an attack, whether I mean it to be or not. They just are, right? Because they're, it's like Julia Galef. Are you familiar with her? She wrote The Scout Mindset. She does a lot of Bayesian kind of thinking. But in the book she writes, she mentions how she tries not to swallow different identities. So she tries not to call herself a feminist, even though she shares a lot of beliefs with feminists. She tries not to call herself a Democrat, even though she shares a lot of beliefs with that. And the reason she does so is because as soon as you swallow those identities, if a feminists do something wrong, you become more likely to defend that wrong thing just because you identify with the group. Does this make sense?
Yeah, look, yeah, but identity creation is an important part of most people's lives. I don't, if you're arguing that nobody should adopt any identity, it's kind of a laughable solution.
We should make it much less important in our lives. And I think that we recognize, we should. Do you disagree with this?
I completely disagree.
Okay.
I don't know how much more I can say about it. They're such bitches.
Identity creation that's part of being human. Everybody needs to know who they are. Everyone needs
totally,
to build an identity.
The argument that lots of like psychologists and philosophers and this Bayesian person that Wick is talking about make is that they're like we should be careful about which type of identities we hold so close, right? So it's healthier to have your identity be, a father, a brother, a son, right? All of these things, as opposed to a Democrat, a feminist, a Republican, just things that like put you on teams that aren't necessarily core to who you are.
Sure. I mean, it's good advice. I don't see it as useful advice in the current situation. So
I can't handle this anymore. I'm sorry. This is it's so fucking insane. And maybe I'll watch more of this when I come back, but I need to take a break before Live and Learn later today and get some lunch and holy shit. Like this is just whatever this is, ain't it? I condemn in the strongest possible terms this assassination. I will continue to do so. But this pretend game that we're doing where we're stomaching a horrific double standard, anti-intellectualism at its max, and the authoritarian overreaches of the state and these government bootlicking shills trying to lecture us about dangerous words after they cried and cried and cried for 10 years and more, really, on this shit. Give me a fucking break. They don't care about the Constitution. They don't care about free speech. They don't care about cancel culture. That was all a meme. They don't give a single shit. And my recommendation for Democrats and left-wing people is to, you don't have to embrace or be ambiguous about the shooting, condemn the shooting, but do not ever stomach this kind of lecturing from such people, either enlightened centrists or MAGA right-wingers, asking you to mourn sufficient amounts, asking you to be accountable for the murder of an individual that you have no connection to and you have no culpability for. None whatsoever. And the left and the Democrats need to start going on offense against this kind of insane derangement and authoritarianism that we're seeing in response to this tragic incident. No more fucking little weasel bullshit. No more liberal surrender hands on this issue. You need to be strong. And you need to be on offense calling out these overreaches and insanity, insane derangement. And I will stand on business 100% defending the Republic, defending your rights, defending liberty, because that's what I believe. Not like these other fucking bad faith hacks, government bootlicking shills. And on that note, I'll see you tonight at 7.